Okay, how you doing, guys? We got Ali B, Millennium. How you doing, guys? Chris F.E. Jackson. How you doing? RFID. I've heard about that. Suppose it could scare the crap out of some people. This whole prospect of the transhuman agenda, which is possibly just another fear tactic to actually divert people from what's actually going on and to keep people in fear, so that they just kind of sort of lose hope, and they just they get into these like rabbit holes that just really lead them nowhere, and actually lead them just to fear stuff that, and it's like there's not out that can be done about it. So we got Eternal Padawan. Cool. If you're doing moon stuff, it's good people getting out and actually doing their own observations. But of course, we don't really know what these objects are in the sky. We don't know how far exactly they are. A lot of it's speculation, and it seems like they try and play on that because we don't know. It's like, well, and then people make these claims that they do know what they are when actually they don't. They're just speculating, really, but they kind of get so kind of carried away, and they think that they've found the answers to all these things, but really they are still, kind of, they need to kind of be intellectually honest, and it's like we don't know what these things are, and don't know what significance they have in this reality, what these things' purpose are in this reality, the sun, the moon, the stars. But it's cool to actually point out the anomalies, I suppose, and that they should be. I've heard that I've seen a video that somebody actually filming the moon in, what was it? I think it was Florida, and I think it was Brisbane. So they're pretty far away, and I'll have to kind of go and find out the distance between. But I mean, it's almost pretty much like the other side of the supposed globe, but it's like there's no way that should really be visible. If we were on a globe, that is, or at least a heliocentric globe, I suppose it could work on a stationary ball, but I still don't believe in that either. And and it's cool that there's people who still believe in the globe, but believe we're not spinning, because at least they're open-minded and they're looking for truth and what have you. But some of them can't get over the whole gravity thing, and and realize that it's just some made-up theory that's doesn't really, and that somehow that they still think that the physics of water somehow can bend around the globe. But at least they're part way there. But some of them might get stuck there and not really, kind of be able to kind of. It might be a bit of a kind of trap. Same, when people get into other theories, because they might watch David Icke or whatever, and they might watch these different people who are, they might tell some truth about certain things about the government and about, what's going on with this reality and stuff, but will not go into certain things, and they'll also twist certain things. So I think my advice, is that maybe you might want to still listen to some of these people who may be considered as controlled opposition to some, but you just got to try and chew off the meat and spit out the bones, really. And but I suppose for some people, they don't want to bother sitting and deciphering through all the nonsense that they put out as well, all the propaganda. And I understand that people would rather just. But I suppose it can be a challenge, because if it's just, it'd be good to practice sort of see how well you can actually sort of sieve out all the propaganda nonsense that they push as well. Some may be unintentionally doing it, but that they're being pushed because it's a narrative that the elite want to push. So it's like they get funded by certain people maybe, and they don't realize that these people are actually part of that. They're actually just funding them so that they can push that narrative and all that, or possibly they know that they're talking perhaps not all the truth, but they're just trying to profit out of it, which is equally as bad as being a shill, as some would call it. I guess that's kind of being a shill in a different way, because if you're intentionally lying to people, but it's making you money. So it's like, to me, it's just doesn't mean you're a government agent, but you're just an agent in a way that you're just being paid to, because people are buying into the crap. So anyway, we got Teen Foiler. How are you doing? How are you doing, Marshall? Anyway, but I'm not going to be on too long tonight. I was thinking of just doing a quickie thing. Don't know if I'm going to have anyone on tonight. But if I do, then it'll just be for a while. Sometimes when I have people on, conversations get kind of going for quite a while, and sometimes I lose concentration and kind of, it's just, yeah. I mean, sometimes it's hard to kind of focus it in too much because they're really deep conversations, but at the same time, I'm interested in it and I like to talk about different things, but it's hard to sometimes absorb all the information that people provide, but I appreciate it though. So anyway, we're all doing well. So yeah, it's good to see there's like meetups going on. I've heard there's one at Blackpool going on. Hopefully, I'll be going to that if I can make it. So yeah, apparently that's around July. If anyone can actually let me know exactly what date it's going to be, then that would be appreciated. Because I'd really like to go on that one. Because I've never done a meetup before, probably because there hasn't been a lot of them going on up north because, well, there's probably more stuff going on in London, say, or whatever. But yeah, I mean, there's tons of us now, it's like, even since I got into it, there's people that have gotten into it, probably thousands and thousands of people that have got into it even since I've gotten into it, and that's like less than a year ago. So obviously we don't know about all these people. Some of them probably don't get too involved, some get involved in chat maybe, because you see in chats a lot of time you're always seeing new people in these chats that on these bigger channels I'm on about. I even see new people on here sometimes. So RJ, how are you doing? We got into it in 2013. Wow, that's quite a while then. About 4 years then, isn't it? So you've pretty much been around since it started with because as far as I'm aware, I think actually 2011 was probably around but there was very few then, and then 2013 it apparently started to pick up slightly, and then 2014 to 2015 it kind of they started to pick up quite big, and then obviously up to now it's continued to like pick up, so that's just as far as I'm kind of aware. I'm obviously not so sure about what happened, what the viewing counts were like and what have you, and how many people were actually looking into this back in 2013, but yeah, I mean, I'm doing fine, thanks, RJ. Good seeing you in chat again. I'm not seeing you in chat lately, I don't think. Last seen you in other people's chats, but I think you came on once, didn't you? And yeah, it was funny when it was going on about the 33 subscribers. I mean, yeah, suppose though if you were an agent, then you'd probably have more like 1,000, a lot, but it's probably gone up a bit since then. You took a break for a while. Well, I've heard people saying that they've took a break, but to me it's like I don't really want to take a break so much. It's like, it's like, I just want to, I think people need to kind of keep the momentum going, but maybe they could take a break from Flat Earth, but kind of talk about other things that links in with it possibly. And then I suppose that the whole Flat Earth thing might be wearing people down after a while, but it'd be good if people focused on other stuff, whether it be legal name fraud, whether it be, veganism, whether it be, health, whether it be Hawks, events, whether it be, I don't know, whether it be more of the kind of spiritual side of stuff that you get into, like the meditation, whatever, and try and focus on those types of topics, or whatever. I mean, and it's like, it's good that if you do that, I suppose, then it would kind of be good for everyone, because it's like they wouldn't wear themselves down with one topic, and also they're able to kind of bring all different sorts of people in. We can all unite on that. Where that they're hiding all this stuff from us, that they're all these things that they don't want us to know about. But the truth's out there. We just got to find it. But they obviously don't want us to find it. They're not going to help us. But obviously, I'm not really too sure if the flat Earth thing is actually just been put out there by them. It probably has. Or at least it's been kind of took over by them after a while, and they want to try and push it into the false reality that they try and present to us eventually, and I hope that wouldn't happen. But all right, cool. Your wife asked you to take a break or something. Well, suppose if you've got kind of problems at home, or they need to kind of if your wife's it's bugging her, then I suppose it depends what your priorities are, doesn't it? Because some people might think you like going insane, like if you're like focusing on it too much, like if you're talking to your friends about it all the time, then maybe they'll think you're going insane, and maybe they'll even unfriend you. Like they'll not be your friend anymore. I mean, like they'll be kind of. Yeah, but I mean, I like to focus on what's provable, but I do like to go into a bit of speculation sometimes, and to kind of keep the mind going and keep it kind of challenging the mind with philosophies and things like that. But if we're going to try and get this stuff out to the masses, we need to kind of figure out plans of what we can actually do to accomplish that. Now, it seems a bit controversial. Some of the methods that people have been using to put it out there. Like with the chat raiding, because if it was the other side doing it to us, we wouldn't like it, would we? I understand that. I think I did actually I think it was in a NASA stream, so I was like, well, I thought, well, fair enough, it's in a NASA stream, so it's like, it's related, so it's kind of, I suppose if it's to do with space and stuff, and it's like you want to just expose it on there, then fine. And as long as there's no one there that might get, like offended, not offended, I mean, like, as in they might get upset because they're getting, like, they might think they're getting trolled by, like, an army of, people that are, like, kind of infested in the chat. So I can understand both sides of it, and yeah, but there's obviously other ways. I mean, people doing different things to put it out there. But I think we don't really should focus on that maybe too much, because it's like, well, I don't know. I don't know whether we should or not. I don't know. But I mean, when we need to spread the word, but it's like some people are just not going to be bothered, What if it's like gotten to the point where it's literally, almost all the people who would be bothered about it, are already walking to it, and the rest just don't care anyway. So they'd just follow along and little nothing would change. I mean, it's like a lot of these globe believers are not even really invested in any of this stuff. They're not focusing in on it. And, it's like when people talk to them, and it's like they don't even know what their own model is, and it's like, because it's all drilled into them, but there's no facts to back it up. And it's like, but they're so distracted from everything, like with the social media and stuff. And I mean, it's cool and all, but, it's like that it's been put in people's faces, all the propaganda and stuff. But anyway, we got Rick Vats, how you doing? Flat Earth Still Water, how you doing, Nick? So thanks for all coming in, and but like I said, it's not going to be a long thing tonight. I don't think. I don't know how long it's going to be, but probably just going to maybe have an early bed tonight. I don't know. I'm not too sure what I'm going to do, but well, I mean, I don't know how long I'm going to be at. Yeah, well, Eternal Padawan, it's just, I don't know, I just don't really feel like staying up too long. It's like, I know all you guys are like, some of you will stay up till 5, 7 o'clock in the morning, whatever, and it's like, I don't always want to do that. If I'm, like, sometimes I'll start it early and then I'll probably want to finish early, instead of starting it late and then finishing it late, because I think what happened there, I was on OBS with it, but I was like doing a private hangout with Eternal Padawan, but it wasn't intended to go on long. It was because where it's like I was like testing it out, this OBS thing, and it was like, and we started going on and on about this Eddystone Lighthouse observation thing, and it ended up being, going on and on it, and it was like getting light by the time we finished. It was weird. It was like, obviously it kind of screws you up because it's like you want to get to sleep, but it's like it's getting too light. It's just not that right. It's not that right. Sort of, suppose for you to be sleeping in, I suppose it's not, it's too light at that time. It's, I suppose, if you kind of got used to it then. But I mean, it didn't take me too long, but it was like, but I mean, sometimes I'll be up at, it depends what, but I mean, I don't really care about getting up at a certain time because I don't need to. And I'm glad I don't have to get up 9 to 5. I mean, that would suck. And I feel sorry for those who have to do that because, I mean, just the thought of it, it's just, that's fucked up. That is. I mean, some people actually do more than that. Some people do 9 to 7 or 9 to 8 or whatever, or 9 to 9 even. Some people, and they're doing it 6 days a week just to like make a bit of money, because it's like, well, I'm gonna have to work a bit longer because I can't. And it's like, that's, you know, when it's like that, then you admit that you're kind of a slave then, pretty much, because you're relying on that money coming in every week or every month or whatever. And but yeah, I mean, sometimes I get selfish. Sometimes I think about myself too much. I don't know if flat Earth has really kind of helped me with that, but I mean, but it's not like I'm intending on, being selfish. It's just the way I can be sometimes, and it just kind of, I don't want to kind of have like excuses or like that. But I'm not trying to be kind of narcissistic or anything like that. I'm not. It's just, I have positive intentions. I want to see justice in the world. I want to see, but it's just sometimes when I get into stuff I like, and I don't want to cut myself off from it because of, it's like I'm focusing on myself too much, and other people don't matter in that instance, because it's like, it's all about me at that time, and then it's just when I'm in that moment, I'm not really thinking about others, and it's not meaning to be like that. It's just the way it happens sometimes. But I suppose it can be good sometimes being somewhat selfish. I mean, because then you don't let people take liberties, and it's like that's what would happen with some people. They're too selfless. They do too much for other people, and they don't get anything back. And I really don't understand why people would just keep on doing it. If they're not ever getting anything back, then I would just say, well, screw you, sort of thing. I mean, maybe that's part of me brainwashing, but if you go out your way to help somebody, then you should expect. I mean, I suppose you shouldn't really expect something back, but I mean, if you don't get anything back, then they don't deserve it. If there's, I mean, I'm not saying that you shouldn't, like, it's like, I don't know. I mean, there's always different ways of looking at things, isn't there? There's always two sides to every coin, and I suppose over time I've been able to kind of see different perspectives and look at things in different ways and everything, and actually kind of like, because I wouldn't mind like helping people, but as long as they're not trying to use me for anything, then it's like, I think people should, when they've been helped, they should pass it on, because it will go around, won't it? It will go around to everybody. If that, I mean, I just wish that like when somebody does something positive for somebody, that positive energy, whatever, it goes on to somebody, and then it goes all the way around. It'll manifest into something where everyone's positive, and that's a really ideal situation. And I suppose there is going to be times where you're a bit down, but it's about how you get back up from that. And it's like, yeah, I mean, but there's no need for all this suffering in the world, all this shit that goes on in the world. People starving in Africa, for instance, for fuck's sake. I mean, but it's like they're putting it in your face, though. It's like they're telling you to like donate, but I mean, the problem with that is that it's like, oh, what water? So the water charity for Africans, they, from what I've heard, that only a little bit ends up going there, because all the money that it costs, for all the people that are involved, and then they're kind of shipping it over and everything, all the transportation and everything, because you're not going to have people that will just do it out of the goodness of their heart, all work together to actually do something for humanity, really. But then again, how do we really know what the truth is, what's actually going on in Africa? Things could be a lot different. I mean, they probably don't have an opinion of us, like, because they're kind of cut off, a lot of them, to the internet and things like that, and TV and what have you. And I've heard, someone was saying that it was actually like it was a way of like, sort of, what they'll do is they make like the really rich countries, and then they'll have like really poor countries, and that's the kind of structure that they want, because it's, if all the countries were rich, then they wouldn't really be able to have power if everyone, all the wealth was spread out equally and all that. And I think, as IPS goes on about money and all that, and like how he thinks that money is actually not quite a bad thing, and I can understand somewhat with what he's saying, that like that it's kind of how it's being used. Really, it's that it's like that it can be used for good or evil. It depends. I mean, I think if you believe it's the root of all evil, then it is. It's like if you believe it's good, in a way, then it's like we don't need it. That's the thing. It's like what it's like somebody's works being having value put on it that's like may not kind of be it might not correspond to actually what they're actually doing. It might be that that they're not getting what they've put out there, sort of thing, and that's what causes the slavery, because it's that it's that kind of not fair. That's but I mean without the money, then more liberating in a way. But I mean, if you don't believe in like the money as being this powerful thing, then it will cease to be that. And I think people need to kind of understand, I mean, the power of belief and and all that. And I mean, and again, that can be used for bad as well, because it can have you believe in delusional crap that you see on the TV and everything, and that you're being told at schools or you're reading a newspaper. So yeah, Rick Vats, we really need a mirror to look at ourselves. Well, I think I suppose we've got to look at ourselves first before we start judging other people. Are we even better than how we're judging these other people? It's like when you're pointing your finger at people, and someone was saying, a couple of people were saying that you point your finger at somebody, your other three fingers are actually pointing right back at you. So yeah, there's a lesson for anybody out there who likes to point the finger, and it's like, yeah, people really need to do that. And also another thing, flat earthers need to, and those who believe in different like conspiracies and different things like that, they need to kind of show respect for other people who haven't managed to kind of raise their level of consciousness yet, and kind of because you obviously didn't probably come to it all right away. But I mean the flat earth, for me, it was like, it did happen straight away, but I can understand why people would take a long time, because some people have been indoctrinated for like 40, 50 years, some even longer than that, and they're going to take a while to come to terms with it. So, you can give them all the evidence that you want, no curvature, no motion and all that, but it's like, you can tell them until you're blue in the face so that they'll just not have it, because the cognitive dissonance and all that takes time, doesn't it? But maybe some people went on a journey first before flat earth, and it kind of made it easier for them to accept it because they were already introduced to other things. And it's like when they come to flat earth, it's like, yeah, it doesn't surprise me because I know about all this other stuff. So it's like, people are on their own separate journey. No two are quite the same. Anyway, we got the Derp Hunter. Religion has been brainwashing people for hundreds of years. Yeah, I'm not a religious person. There are certain people in flat earth who are religious, and I suppose I don't think maybe those who believe in the Bible are religious, because there's probably quite a lot of truth in it, and it's just that if you understand what it's saying, and it's like, but the whole problem is that when people start talking about God, and it's like, I don't deny a creator, I don't deny that we've been created and all that. It's just that it's kind of when people claim to know what this creator's intentions are and why he's put us here, then that's kind of going a bit far, and it's a bit too I can understand why people would want to go there, but as long as they're not pushing it on people, and I am aware that there is no Big Bang, of course, and that's pretty obvious if you don't believe we live on a ball, because the Big Bang couldn't have created a flat plane, and also space is limited as well. Whether the Earth is limited or whether it's infinite, that's another topic. But as for space, it's not an infinite vacuum that they claim it to be. It's literally just probably, we don't know what it is, but there's got to be some barrier somewhere that's going to hold down the pressure, I believe. And, it's whether there's a barrier all the way around, I don't know. But, the Dirt Hunter, we can't know of his intentions from a book man wrote. Yeah, that's true. But I think when you start sort of antagonizing the sort of religious people, then it can be kind of divide and conquer strategy. So I see it that side as well. That it's like fine if you have your beliefs, but as long as you don't push it, because there's always going to be a fight back. When somebody has an opposing view that there's always, and they push it, there's always going to be a push back, and there's probably going to be a pushback harder, because when people get offended, say like when somebody gets offended at something, and they might and say, if it goes really bad, then they might punch you for it, whatever, and then you go like and punch them harder because you want to it's like when people get vengeful and stuff, and but obviously we know how religion is, kind of mind control, and how it causes so much division and so much hatred, and it's like, why would God even want to do that? It's like, I just I don't know, it's just so it's like the evolution versus creationism. It almost seems like none of them can be proven in a way, because it's like, it makes sense, like we're created and all that, and that we're special, no Big Bang of course, but it's like evolution, no evidence of it, no evidence of kind of gradual evolution between species. I didn't really I just kind of ignored that probably when I was still believed it, when somebody had told me that there's no kind of in between an ape and a human. And but it's like no one can see the creator either. No one could actually witness us being created by some higher power. We can only witness us being created by our frigging parents. Well, we can't witness us being created. We can witness being and that is a special thing, that when people create life out of just a couple of cells, and pretty amazing, that, isn't it? But I'm not sure whether our true purpose is to kind of procreate or not, to say sure. But I think I don't know. There are ones where you say no Big Bang. That's very dogmatic of a truth, or no? So you believe that? That we're just some random accident? That we came from some explosion 13.8 billion years ago. We just randomly evolved into this? No, I don't think so. And even before Flat Earth, I was like, going into kind of philosophy, looking into like the kind of biocentric view of consciousness creating reality. And it's like, but then again, it's like, but people start mixing things like the Big Bang in with that, and how could you mix that in? If our consciousness is creating the reality, then it never happened, because if no one were around to witness it, then it never happened. People debate over whether if no one's around to when a tree falls over, does it make a sound? It's like, unless someone's actually there, it doesn't actually do anything. It's just because it can't be picked up, so it just because there needs to be a receiver there. So even if there's like, say, like you put like a recording device there while it falls over, well, that's an ear there. It's an artificial ear that hearing it, picking up that frequency. But unless we're around to pick up the frequency, then that doesn't even exist. So I suppose, in a way that we are creating this, but maybe the part of it's being created for us, and we are kind of, maybe it kind of all got set up for us so that we could all just play around with stuff and experiment with stuff, and it's like there's people that are against science in the, it seems like they're against, I'm not sure if they're against science or whatever they mean by, science is, lies. The scientism, it's that we need to kind of differentiate the two. Science is actually about constantly challenging and constantly, experimenting with, new ideas to kind of innovate and, progress, but we can just like see it all night talking about, different philosophies of, well, what is life? But to me, it's like, we've never actually experienced death, or if we did, then we've forgotten about what happened. So it's like, we don't know what's going to happen. FE is not a thing you find in nature. You find it online alongside stories of wacko. We actually do find it in nature, because that's how we experience reality now. Our natural observations tell us that the earth is not a ball. You cannot argue it. Our observations tell us that, if the earth's 70% water, water and all of it's flat, Now, obviously we can't measure the whole length of it, but people do small measurements and find that there isn't the curvature that's supposed to be there, then how is that going to make up into a ball? It doesn't make any sense. How you doing, Orwin? Orwin, you get ready to be dread upvote bummed. What the hell? Yeah, I think he's a good guy. You've been exposed. I think he's because I've seen some of his hangouts and it does get a bit heated sometimes though, but that's fine, But obviously, I mean, I haven't been watching some of his stuff lately because it coincides with some of my stuff. So, oh shit! Well, there's literally loads in at the moment. Well, cheers, all you guys. I've even got Mark Sargent in there. How you doing, Wendy Blank? This is what Unity is all about. Cheers, everybody. This is crazy. I Spy NASA Lies. Yeah, Helio Skeptic. Yeah, I can't even. Thanks, all you guys. I mean, this is just. Well, Feppy Glovex. I've seen that meme going around. It's like, yeah, cool. Been taking pics. How you doing? Archetypal Existence. How you doing? Yeah, thanks for subscribing, guys. Corey Witten. Never seen anything like this before. But anyway, if anyone wants to come on for a little bit, I'll send a link out. Appreciate it, everybody. Anyway, right, cool. I'll send you one out, D. Yeah, peace to all you guys that are, helping out and stuff. It's really unbelievable. But yeah, I just try and do my bit. I'm not doing anything, groundbreaking or anything. I'm just, it's not like I get like an ego boost or anything. It's just, I really appreciate when people, kind of. Yeah.
Hey, how goes it, bud? You okay?
How you doing, D?
Yeah, not too bad. So I just kind of checked my camera because I'm doing some time lapse tonight, like I say. So
yeah, it's like good for like getting out and actually doing your own observations and things, because you obviously like on the globe side they do their own observations and stuff, and they're like, oh well, look at the lunar phases and all that proves we're on a globe, but it's like, well, if you kind of point out to them some of the anomalies, then they'll be like, well, that's like that doesn't make sense. Like how I saw this video of somebody in Florida and somebody in Brisbane saw the moon at the same time, and because what excuse would they come up with? Oh, it's because it's because the line of sight, all that,
Well, yeah, no, it's like the other day at the beach when me and Chris met up. There was somebody in America who was looking at the same sun in pretty much the same position in the sky I was in the UK. So
yeah, I think some of this information might be too technical for some of the globe believers, because it's like, when you're talking about the heliocentric model and how it works and how it should work, about whether you should be seeing the moon during the day and all this stuff, even I don't understand it. I mean, I need to look more into this sort of stuff, because then it's like I can understand it more and understand how it's even more impossible than, I don't need more confirmation though. I'm already done with all that, me. And to me it would just be a bit convoluted for some people though. That's the thing. It's like I don't feel like I would really benefit from actually knowing more about it, right now. It's like, I've heard all the facts that that cannot be refuted, like all the long distance observations that, it's like refraction. Well, then you should be able to repeat this and actually show it that it's actually, because on certain days then it would actually be, I know, like, because Anthony Riley said he's found it can be consistent with curvature, and he seems to sway a little bit from time to time. I mean, have you ever seen any of his videos, D? You're muted.
No, I muted it when I was walking around. I didn't want to make too much noise in the background. Sorry.
Right. Well, just going about Anthony Riley. Have you seen any of his videos?
No, I can't say I've seen many. I've watched one or two.
I was just saying that, well, he seems to sway from time to time. That, he says sometimes that certain observations can be consistent with the Earth's curvature.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, it's like my video, the one that's got us staying up all night. For me, like I say, you can only see 2/3 of that lighthouse. But if you can only see 2/3 of that lighthouse, then you've got to imagine that lighthouse is over the curve of the horizon, yeah? So you've got to imagine a little curve going on. So if it's 1/3 over like beyond the curve, there's no way it should still be pointing straight up in the sky. There's just no way. It should be pointing off at a stupid angle.
Well, oh no,
to match
because
the
the
curve.
Earth's so big though. It's like 25,000
Yeah, no,
miles
but this is
into
the thing. If we're
curve.
seeing over a curve, then there has to be an effect on the object over the curve. There has to be. Simple as that. Especially when you're missing a whole third of that building. It's so yeah, that there has to be some other
Oh, you mean like the
explanation for that observation we're getting at ground level.
Yeah. Well, this thing of, if there's a ship going over a curve at 3 miles away, then at 30,000 feet or whatever, then the horizon should be nowhere near eye level, then should it?
No, not even close. Exactly.
Because
to
on
be
a
fair,
globe the horizon would stay where it is.
the concave Earth has more credibility than the globe Earth, because if you look, it does almost look like it's slanting up away from you. So
Yeah,
to me,
yeah, we know that's like
that
the
has more
perspective,
credibility than the globe.
but you can understand how that it can be interpreted concave. But they seem to think that they have proof of concave. But I mean, they go into like stuff about gravity bending light and stuff, and how it results in us seeing a flat plane. And to me, that kind of seems a bit of a convenient kind of cop out sort of thing, if I'm being honest. But
it sounds as convenient as globe is using refraction.
it's like the same thing, isn't it? So but at least with the concave, it's stationary, and the space is not this huge vacuum, and and I can see why some of them think, well, there's certain things that can be explained better, like they talk about the star trails and all that. I'll look at all the sides and think, well, which one has the most credibility,
Well, I mean, for me, like I say, star trails can be quite easily explained with if a toroidal field surrounding us. So
and
the exact same effect as what the globe does. So
yeah, and so some people believe it could be a simulated sky as well. Not maybe that this realm isn't all simulated, but maybe the sky is. I think Billy Sunday was going on about the simulated sky theory, it's not what we're simulated, and the ground is not. None of that's simulated, but the sky, like a holographic projections and things like that, and that would probably be a more adequate explanation, maybe. But I mean, I'm not really too kind of familiar with the whole toroidal fields and how they would work, really, and how if they could be a valid explanation.
It's not so much I know how a toroidal field works. Sorry, it's more the way a toroidal field would act, the way it would surround us and spin, would create exactly the same effect as they.
Because it's like I can see why the globe believers think that when they're spinning in the opposite direction, that it seems to only make sense on a globe, because it's like you would only have that effect. You would think they would be consistent in as well as the north.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody's there, check out Dave Marsh's channel. He's been doing quite a few observations, and like I say, he's done a video, moon race. I think it was called Moon Race, and it basically he's gathered a lot of observations, and he can kind of show that the moon does speed up and slow down on the Tropic of Cancer or on the equator or the one. So I'm saying it kind of goes along with the analemma. If you know what the analemma is, it's that kind of figure eight shape that's slightly smaller on one end than the other. So
it looks like it says anal Emma.
Yeah. I don't even know if I pronounce it correctly, to be honest. But
yeah, I'm just I've heard people saying analemma. That's how they pronounce it, because I've heard Hillbilly talking about it quite a few times.
Oh, I'm missing Hillbilly. I really am. I actually donated to him to try and keep him on, but and that I didn't feel pressured to do that. I just did it because I really enjoyed him.
Do you know what's up with him? Or, is he all right? Is he just having a time out?
I'm hoping he's okay. I did have a little word with Vincent P in chat the other day, and he said he's doing good. So
yeah, I think sometimes maybe some people get a bit burnt out, and they need to kind of unfamiliarize themselves with it a bit, take their time out, and focus on family and
with him at the moment.
Stuff like that. We don't really know, and it's not good to kind of talk about it too much, because it's the same with people like Bobby McGill, who kind of leave the scene, and it's like people talk about them for ages, and it's like it's kind of detracting from what we should really be talking about.
Oh yeah, no, I just want to say I missed him. I'm sure he'll be back soon as soon as he can get his internet back on. But I know there's some things in life a little bit more important than paying for your internet.
And I think if they really wanted us to know what they're up to, then they'd tell us. So it's like, but yeah, I mean, the star trail thing. It's like the star trails, the two celestial poles. What else? else have we got? I mean, these things that they come out with, theodolites.
Yeah, but theodolites can only measure over
they
like
think,
a mile distance or something. So
I think
you can't
what was
say,
it?
well, if you measured over 20 miles, because they can't measure over 20 miles with one. So.
Yeah, because it was Ali B that was saying that what was it? They have laser ones or whatever, and they have optical ones, and they're only good up to what, like 100 meters. He was saying.
Oh, it's not even a mile then. See, there's me wrong. See, like I say, yeah.
I'm sure that's what he said.
Yeah,
but
yeah. Sorry, my daughter's just saying there's been another terrorist attack.
Anything to do with anything spherical in it. It's always lines, not spheres.
Yeah.
So it's like you can use their own evidence against them. Then I mean, I don't know how these things work, but somehow I'd obviously have to look into a bit more. But the problem is, they're man-made instruments that they're man-made instruments which are probably less accurate than what you're trying to measure. As Dell would say that what's the point in having these lasers and what have you when they're not as accurate as the water.
So.
Water is the leveler of all levels.
Yeah,
it can't be more accurate. It's because of gravity. If it was gravity, then it would be like curving at an exponential rate. And
see, this is the thing. I mean, with gravity, this is another thing we flat earthers need to sort out. I mean, when we talk about gravity, are we talking about Einsteinian gravity, or are we talking about Newtonian gravity? So.
Well, that's the thing, is that it's like they haven't even quite settled on what gravity is. There's like, well, we believe now, and then it's a warping of space-time. That's like Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah,
like,
well, that's your Einsteinian gravity. Your law of attraction.
So that's like the
Newtonian.
So what? How does the Newtonian? Is that the way they just believed it was like?
Well, that's where the two masses attract each other, basically.
The attraction thing, and the magnetic core bullshit that pretty much got debunked a long time ago, because how can you have a magnetic core that's thousands of degrees? So they have to come up with something new to still suit their narrative.
Yeah, but the funny thing is as well,
because they have to pile more bullshit on top of the previous bullshit.
Well, no, this is it. I mean, all right, we all know now.
They leave more and more holes behind, don't they?
Well, yeah, and like I say, I mean, science now knows. Well, yeah, I will say science now knows that Einstein was right. Yeah. Well, they're still using Newtonian physics in games, and I'm a massive gamer, if you know what I mean. And they don't use Einsteinian physics in games. They can't, because it just doesn't work out properly. So they still use Newtonian physics in like the gaming. I can't think what it's called.
So it's crazy how people are like, praising these people like Newton, even though he was like debunked. And then it's like, well, if you believed in Newton, then you can't believe in Einstein. So you can't have it both ways, because their theories would contradict each other.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. So I was just, my daughter just said there's been another terrorist attack. So I just want to give her a second.
Well,
sorry, what's going on there?
We'll have to find out about that. I mean,
London Bridge, apparently. Do you know what's happened?
I just know it's terrorist.
Just terrorist attack. That's all you've heard.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a bomb.
Oh, bomb on London Bridge, was it, or just a bridge in London? London Bridge. Yeah, apparently.
Well, that's what I heard.
There you go. Go on. You tell him what you've heard. Don't worry. You're not being filmed. No. Oh, she's gone all shy. She won't say anything now. Yeah, she sat there tapping away on her phone like most teenagers, unfortunately. Yeah, sorry, there we go. So we could have a live terrorist attack on a Hangout, look, Jamie.
well, actually, when that Manchester thing happened, I was streaming then, and yeah.
Right, Jamie, that's it. You're a shield, you're involved, you're just a distraction to keep us away from the false flags, right? That's it. Sorry, mate, that's just a joke.
I know it's a joke.
Yeah.
But, a lot of people are going to be like, why am I being promoted now, by Dread? I must be a show because I'm being promoted by Dread. That was crazy then, over 100 people watching. It was like, what the... but I knew that there was imminent, because Arwen warned me. And
no, that's good.
But what do you think about the chat raids, like when people are going and saying this?
I don't think the chat raids is a good idea. The way that they were being done, where people are just jumping in and like just spamming and flat earth this, flat earth, blah, blah, because we'd hate it to be done to us. So why would we do it to them? We want to perpetuate what we want to be done to us. That's why I was
but it's not really as bad in a way, because what the globe is, I mean, I'm fine if people want to say the Earth's a globe, but I think they should explain themselves, but if you go somewhere and say the Earth's flat, then you should maybe, explain yourself, if you're going to go and say a NASA live feed, and and they don't mind. They said they don't mind people going on and saying the Earth's flat. I suppose they kind of have to put up with that, because if they didn't, then it would kind of prove straight away that they're gatekeepers.
It's just see, they're doing it wrong. The way they just did it then was brilliant. They came in, they did it positive. They did thumbs up. Everyone left a load of comments.
Yeah.
You probably got a load more subscribers, and then they went on their way. But another good way to do it would be to have like a group of maybe 3, 4, 5 flat earthers in one of these like NASA chats, and not spamming. Have 2 of them playing flat earthers and the rest of them playing the globe earthers, if you know what I mean, and just have them have a normal conversation about flat earth in the chat.
Like a staged conversation.
I think that would be much more productive than this spamming. Blah, 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 blah.
But someone could say, but I can see ships going over the horizon, though.
Yeah, exactly. And then you have the other ones go explain why you can't, or how if you
So
can
you
see
could
it
have one that's like a really
on either side.
like ignorant glove. I'm not trying to offend anybody, but you'd have, it's like that might be a good idea, because I think it would work in things like NASA chats and space chats and what have you, different ones. Maybe like a channels, I don't know, maybe Dutch Sense or whatever, where there's going on about earthquakes, because it's kind of relevant because it's got the globe propaganda in there. But yeah,
that's what I mean. And not only that, you're more likely not to get banned or kicked out or whatever, if you know what I mean, because you just be having a polite chat rather than just spamming the bloody chat room.
Well, I think what some people are trying to do is to get the people to react to it. Like, if they can get thousands of people watching live, and then about 100,000 people watch it later, if they can do that to loads of chats, they can get loads of people aware of it in no time. But I can understand how it might be used to discredit flat Earth. It's like these people are just relentless trolls, and it's like if the media was to cover it, then it would make us look like some crazy cult.
Exactly.
So I can see both sides of it, and we just need to come up with a more.
It seems strange to me how easily it has been to manipulate so many truthers to do it as well, because it's such a negative thing, and I thought we were trying to spread positivity, if you know what I mean. And it's all right, it may have positive intent, but like I say, you're going in and ruining somebody's day basically.
Well, I suppose it is quite, if there's like loads of stuff that it's like about flat Earth, and it's like apparently somebody broke down because of it. I mean, it might not be a good idea to just go into some random,
I got caught up with it in the beginning when I first come out. When I saw NASA live streams and stuff, I'd go in and just like spam for like 10 minutes, just research flat Earth and stuff like that. So don't get me wrong, I'm not some kind of saint.
Yeah, no one's flower. How are you doing? Blah blah Tuesday. It was meant in a negative way. That's what I mean. That's what this guy's saying in chat.
Yeah, it definitely had positive intentions. Don't get me wrong. I just think it will be taken in a negative way.
Yeah, that's the thing. What I was thinking the other day, it might be good in a way that some boring, to us maybe, but it might be a bit boring of a hangout that's going on where they're just doing boring stuff, and then it kind of spices up a little bit and helps their viewers and stuff. Because even when the raid finishes, they're going to get more thumbs up, and it helps them, so they might appreciate that, but I don't think you should just go randomly on your chats just because they got like loads of people watching it and stuff, and but I do like maybe because someone was going on about, maybe it was IPS who was going on about the billboard and stuff that's going up, and don't know what you would think about that. I mean,
yeah, that's a very non-intrusive way of just putting a billboard out somewhere. Again, it's not negative, it's not intruding on anyone.
Because you don't have to look into it. It's just there. It's saying, maybe the words should be kind of, not to let the Earth flat research it and all. It should be, do you think that you live on a globe 24,901 miles in circumference? And
maybe keep it simple. Just, could the globe be a lie? Question mark.
Yeah, that was a bit. And then you could have some picture of some high altitude balloon footage there, to kind of show what a portion of the Earth really looks like. Or you could even show like a comparison of the Felix Baumgartner stuff. Yeah, because that's like it's one where it's like really bendy. Like it's like someone was saying this was like tucked in New Mexico, and all you could see was New Mexico. So if there's that much curve, then that would mean that the whole entire Earth would just be probably New Mexico and a bit of Texas, maybe. And then it's just crazy because even like when it gets further down, it's still showing that fisheye effect.
Yeah, sorry, man. I was just chugging on the bong then.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this fisheye is definitely it's almost like the anti-bloody P900, isn't it?
Yeah.
Although, like I say, the P900 is responsible for a lot of shit as well, as when it comes to stars and planets, because there's so many out of focus shots. Still
well, you were
used
saying
today.
that it's kind of can be used to discredit flat Earth, maybe because it's like people are like, oh, look at these stars are like these flickering,
That's it.
pulsating lights, but
it's not. They're just
do you
out of
think
focus.
that
I was the
some
same.
of
I've
them
got
still
videos on my
like
channel
look like
now.
that? Do you
because
still think maybe some of them could look like that if you even if you get them in focus, they could look different to what they're.
Well, now it's getting warmer. I will be out there more tonight. I'm doing time lapses because unfortunately I've been trying to get some time lapses of the moon for a little while now.
So you're trying to get long exposure then?
No, I'm not doing time. I'm not doing star trails at the moment. I'm just doing time lapse, like 25
Yeah, you're
minutes
getting
at a time.
like long exposure of it then, so like trying to.
Yeah, I might do a time lapse later actually when like I might because that takes like almost 3 hours to do a time lapse.
So I mean, the thing is, if
To do a
you know, we're
start
on a bowl of any size, and as you say, got up on it, you know, and then you try to like set your camera up straight, level, and if you were say looking at say you was on a mountain somewhere, and you was looking across to another mountain, and it was on the same level as you, but if it was curving, then the further you zoom in, it should be dropping off more and more. It should be out of line with the camera, but that's not what happens, is it?
Well, I've got to say, to be fair, I've not done that particular experiment.
Well, obviously, I've not done that. I mean, but the thing is, at what point would it actually become noticeable to the naked eye? What do you reckon that you would even see a curve even on a bowl at any height?
See, I'm one of these people that thinks you need to be like, you almost need to see the whole globe before you'd be able to see a curve.
Well, I've heard people talk about that. Like Mick has talked about that maybe you need to kind of see that because it's like your horizon line kind of going all the way around, and
also you got to remember, because our eyes are so close together, we'd only ever see the disc like we see of the moon. We'd never see the globe. We'd never see.
Well, when you're looking around,
we'd never see a disc.
Yeah, when you're looking around,
you need to get far enough away so we can see that angle of the disc.
Yeah, when you're looking around, say left to right, you know, there's like it's sort of it can be conceived as like a curve, can't it? Because it's like a circle around you. So a lot of people think that's the curvature. So when they see it on a plane, maybe that's what they're seeing, and not the actual curve, because that would not be possible anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, but would a camera work differently to our eyes?
Oh, yeah.
Would that be able to detect the curve, but our eyes wouldn't, sort of thing? Would it be able to detect declination in the horizon?
See, I don't know much about camera design, I've got to say, but I imagine if you're designing a camera that's not a fisheye, of course, then you're going to want.
Well, they say even the barrel lenses
so that it's as
have
close
some
to what
distortion
your
as well.
eyes perceive as possible.
Yeah, partly even. Yeah, so it has to be a completely
designed to see what our eyes see and not what is to be seen. If you get me.
Yeah, well, there'd have to be a flat lens that, you know, because we have convex lenses, so you know we're probably seeing that.
I'm short-sighted myself, so I mean these lenses will probably probably get in the way somehow. I imagine. What are they? They're concave lenses. I don't know concave. So I mean I'm 20/20 with them on, but with them off I'm blind as a fucking bat. I mean I can't see shit.
But subs have skyrocketed. Well, just shows the unity, doesn't it? You know.
That was a great thing that just happened then. It really was.
Well, the Glober's going to be able to do that soon. Globers go on other Globe channels and raid them. Thing is, there's probably think, well, there's no point because there's no point in getting 5 people in a chat to go over there. You know, they probably go over to that channel anyway. So you know, the Earth Discussions crew and all that. I've never watched them, but apparently they're just. I mean, I've watched Flat Earth Discussions, and that was horrible. Literally, it was just horrible.
To be fair, I've kind of dropped out of the hangout scene. To be fair, you're about the only one. I watched Dells and stuff, and well, I mean, I watched random others and that, but I very rarely get involved in the chat much anymore, apart from yours and a few of the other like Dells. But yeah, no, I don't really tend to go around the Globers anymore because I've got no information I need.
All right, yeah. So you know, expect the unexpected. I was not expecting that tonight. What's YouTube saying, Jamie, you're not missing anything. Probably talking about is it the Earth Discussions channel? But there's these people you get, you know, Gem Panda, and you know, I've I've heard him on some Hangouts before, and he comes up with arguments like, well, the 1,000 miles an hour rotation speed is actually very deceptive. It's actually only half the speed of a
yes, because of the size of the globe,
clock dial goes around.
One rotation a day, which is nothing. Yes, I agree.
But it's like
that doesn't matter. That does not matter, because the fact that you're not moving in a straight line at a consistent speed, there is always some change of direction going on.
Yeah, forget about that for now, right? Because we're not even going there yet. Okay.
Sorry, man.
So you got to compare, a dial on a clock, half the speed of a dial on a clock. But someone was saying what if you multiply that to the size of the Earth? You'd soon kind of think, no, that's not happening. So, but it's like we're not even taking into account these other supposed motions. Like 2.2 million miles an hour around the Great Attractor? Come on, that's just
you've
insane.
got motions that are actually happening inside this globe apparently as well, because you've got to remember
like the wobble that's supposed to be going on or something.
The core's spinning, the core's moving around, this molten core's moving around, the mantle's moving around, the crust's moving around on top of that. We've got volcanoes, we've got earthquakes that happen that change the axial rotation, that change the speed of
was it you that were saying that would actually prove that we're not actually moving constantly, and the effects of the earthquake should be quote unquote global.
You can go on the website and look. It will tell you that it's like the 2011 Japanese earthquake. That changed the speed of the rotation of the day by it was 8.8 billionths of a second. I know it's not a lot, but it's still a change in relative speed. So it's something that should have been felt globally.
Well, it's relative, isn't it? It's only a very small fraction. I'm just playing devil's advocate,
Yeah. Oh, mate, I know. Yeah, no. That's what I mean. I do that quite a lot in my group as well. If you know what I mean, because I chuck in a lot of the globe head knowledge.
What do you think about that? Have you seen that Matrix Decode video?
Which one? I'm familiar with the guy, but I'm not sure where
the one that the ship's over the horizon, and he seemed to kind of sway a little bit by that, I think, because he thought that because he saw another boat just at the horizon, and it looked like it has been obscured behind that. But we're not. We're kind of limited information wise as to exactly how far away the boat's actually gone past the horizon, because it looks like the waves were kind of choppy. Matrix said that they were moderate, I think, but they looked pretty choppy, and even moderate waves, we were talking about this, waves in the foreground are going to block out things in the background. It's the cumulative effects over distance, because that even a 1 foot wave over a large distance, because that object gets smaller and smaller beyond it, it'll be more and more obscured. So it's like, how come we can't see the bottom of buildings? Well, that, and of course atmospheric lensing as well, that can be an explanation. The thing is, we've got perfectly reasonable explanations that are actually demonstratable, but they don't. That's the thing.
Yeah, Rob Skeever's proved this by demonstrating it.
Yeah, I mean, with the refraction and stuff, it's like, we can, it kind of makes sense, if when the ball is like bending, then maybe that could be an explanation. But it's like some of these observations are like almost 200 miles away, and there'd have to be like a mile of refraction, or more than that even sometimes, for for it to make any sense, really, on the globe, that is.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I'm kind of starting to branch out on a new kind of thinking in my head as well, because
So what are you talking about?
Back along, I used to mention tesseracts a lot. Do you remember?
What with the 4D concepts?
Yeah, with the 4D stuff. And then I said I was kind of moving away from the tesseract. Well, I've kind of come back to it again because I
didn't know you moved away from it.
Well, it's not like I moved away from 4D. It's just I moved away from the tesseract side of 4D because I was getting more into the flower life and the circle in the square and everything, and that's what brought me back to the tesseract. And like I said, this tesseract, you got to imagine. Light doesn't bend, they say, or can't bend. It always moves in a straight line. So if it's bending around this globe, I'm air quoting that. I'll put my camera back on so you can see me air quoting. But basically, if light's bending around this globe, then it's got to be bending at almost infinitely small straight lines. Yeah, that's just how it'd have to work if light.
Yeah, the thing with it, if gravity's doing all this, it's like, same with the concave. Then obviously with a circle is actually, like you were saying, an infinitely sided
polygon.
Polygon, which is actually not something that can be demonstrated in reality. So when Billy Sunday, I know you kind of took on what he said about there being possibly an ending to pi, but logically it doesn't make sense that such an irrational thing could actually have an end, because it's like, if something that can be infinitely sided, then how can you, kind of, I suppose, express that as like a finite number? It kind of baffles me,
this is
really.
the thing. So it could be, like I say, the physics and the maths I was learning back then are wrong. So it could be that you can have a perfect circle in maths now that they've worked out pi. I don't know. I'm not that good at maths, unfortunately.
Or it could have been that because obviously with the computers is that there's still limitations, though. It can only go so far.
Definitely.
So that's obviously something to take into account, really. But to me, they might have they might have just said that it ends. Just we've never actually gone and actually tried to do it. So I mean, what if they just said it has an end? Just try and push people into the propaganda of these irrational numbers that cannot be kind of rationalized, but it's like they want you to think that they can be, so that like kind of when you're talking about spheres and stuff, it's like, oh well, yeah, because it's like it does actually have an end to it. It's like so many trillion digits. Well, try and actually get to the end of it. It's not going to happen.
Well, not in a lifetime. No, not for sure. Not if you try doing it yourself.
Yeah, suppose if you got everyone together, but then you'd have to trust each other. Suppose that's the problem of trying to map out the world. It's like you'd need so many people to do it, work together to do it. It's like, well, do you trust everyone? And even if you do, there's going to be slight errors in each one that's going to accumulate to a huge error, most likely. That's the thing. You can only do a measurement on a small scale, really, as Mick was saying. And the bigger scale, it's not possible because it's beyond our realm.
It would take too many people. Really. You'd need everybody. Like, you need to get as many people as you could together, get them all in line of sight, spread them all out, make your measurements that way, if you know what I mean. Then get the person at the end to move to the other end to carry on your measurement, because obviously you'd never get enough people to make all these measurements together. But yeah, it would take a massive concerted effort.
Yeah, I was just thinking something. If someone wanted to destroy the universe, say that it's this almost infinite universe, whatever, or say it's infinite, there's more universe. If they wanted to destroy everything, it would require all the energy to destroy it. So it's like a dog chasing its own tail, isn't it? Sort of thing.
Yeah, it was like with Sub-Zero. They say like the machine you'd need to achieve Sub-Zero would need to be the size of the universe.
So what are you on about Sub-Zero?
The coldest you can get, basically, where there's no atomic
like Kelvin, like 0 Kelvin, whatever it is.
Yeah, but basically it's zero movement, basically.
What is that? Is that all heat is, like movement?
Yeah, I mean, this is what I say. Like, cold isn't the opposite to heat. Cold is just the absence of heat.
Yeah, that's what I think. Same with, like, I suppose when you say dark is the absence of. Well, no, you were saying that it's not an absence.
Dark isn't dark. It's just the absence of light. Yeah.
Well, you were saying that, so because I seen something that debate, because I was going on about
it's all subjective.
Oneness versus duality and all that, and you were saying that you're not.
I think duality is the trick, basically.
Bored with that,
Well, it's not I'm bored with that. I mean, I like it. Don't get me wrong, and you can see it in everyday life. Like, there's a man and a woman, there's a left and a right, there's an up and a down. But again, I
suppose it's one of those things to kind of divide people, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, because
first of all, you're divided by gender.
There'd be no man or woman without both of us. So you need both. So in essence, we are one. You can't propagate the species without two.
Yeah, because Mick was
that duality, but it comes from a singularity. If you get me.
So maybe that's the duality in itself, as I was saying. You can't have duality without singularity. So it's a good topic to get into because it's interesting, and Mick was saying something
about Mick to speak about this, actually, because because Mick's a good guy to speak about this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if he's after, I'm not seeing him in chat lately, but I've seen him obviously at the beginning, and then it got raided, and yeah. and now it's gone back down again. So, but I suppose it should kind of maybe cause other people to do the same thing on other, especially on small channels that deserve some kind of shout out stuff.
Yeah, it'd be kind of an extension of what Joe was saying about getting the bigger channels to do shout outs for the smaller channels. Yeah, maybe get them to do this kind of thing. Exactly what happened to you tonight. That would be a brilliant thing to see.
Yeah, because I think if everyone could like go over one place just to kind of get some support, like while there's another hangout going on, it doesn't, because if you're like streaming it, while then they're able to watch it, they can just move over and watch. It's not like that. It's kind of like there's two things going on at once, and it's like so.
Well, that's a good thing nowadays as well. You've got more choice. If you don't want to be filmed, I'd go careful. Sorry, my daughter's trying to scare me.
Right. So yeah, there's a good thing. Yeah, choice. So people can flock wherever they want to go. And if they want to go to a religious channel, it's fine. They can go. If they want to go to more of the technical side of stuff, they can go there. If they want to go to the philosophical / spiritual / whatever type of side, they can go over there, or there's somewhere else that talks more about the kind of health and things like that, or somewhere where they focus on hoaxes and things like that. And there's different strokes for different folks, isn't there?
Well, yeah. I mean, to be fair, pretty much everything you've just mentioned there is something that I do go and try and look at. It's like I've got Joshua, GM Truth TV.
Yeah.
I go over to and watch a lot of his stuff because he's doing a lot of practical stuff with his garden and stuff at the moment, and he also talks a lot about scriptures and stuff. Again, I'm not a religious person, but I do enjoy listening to people who talk about religion and stuff because it's something I've got no real knowledge about. So again, and I like to go off to
I think we should be exposed to the information, but it's that I suppose people should maybe. I mean, the way I see it, religious being a mind virus and stuff, but I mean at the same time, it's like I can understand that maybe it can be used for good, but most of the time it's used for evil because it's like somebody can co-opt it, and it can be used, because if people interpret it the wrong way, then it can be used for evil purposes.
Oh, this is what I mean. This is what I mean. It wasn't written to be a Bible. It was taken and made into a Bible.
So what do you think it were then?
I think it was just literally, it was just people writing down stories that were maybe close. It's like we do now. A fisherman will say, yeah, I caught a fish this big, when it was really like this big and stuff, if you know what I mean, and that kind of thing. So it's not like they were lying. They were just exaggerated truths and to make it more interesting and stuff. And then later on, these people who wanted to make it into a religious thing twisted words here, changed translations here.
Yeah, because things might have gotten blown more and more and more out of proportion, sort of thing, over time.
Yeah,
maybe
Chinese
they just
whispers
wrong, and they
Well, I've just been introduced to Paleo Hebrew. It's not a language I'm going to try and learn or try and decipher, but it's a language I hadn't really heard of before. And Dave Murphy was talking about it on a hangout with our group the other night. And there's another guy now in our group who does do languages, who's now going to focus a bit on Paleo Hebrew and stuff, because that's apparently the original language that it was all written in. So
it's a feminist's least favorite language, isn't it? Hebrew. That's another topic, isn't it? Feminism, but I suppose it's not one of those things you'd really want to get into too much because it can be a bit controversial, can't it?
Well, no, this is the thing. I mean, we're all equally,
but we're all being controversial in a way, though.
No, this is the thing. This is what we've got to understand. We're all equally unequal. Yeah, we've all got the basic like human rights, but some people are just better at other things than others. Which
that might be it.
But you just need to accept that some people are smarter than you, some people are faster than you, some people were quicker than you with wit and all this kind of stuff. It's just the way things are.
yeah, it's like that can be considered as as a duality as well. We're all equal but unequal at the same time.
But if you put it all together,
because I think that we should all kind of embrace our uniqueness and actually, but at the same time, we're all as long as everything's fair and we're all
as long as you're not harming anyone or causing anyone any loss.
Yeah, I think when the teachings like "do as thou wilt," I think think, people have taken that out of context and said, well, actually look at this, I can actually do what I want. It's not really saying that. You should, kind of interpret that how you want it. Interpret that, and I think it was Del was saying that, that it just means that, obviously within reason, of course, as long as you're not imposing on someone else's free will, then you do as you will,
Yeah.
But then it gets into kind of subjectivity then, doesn't it, of like what's considered as moral and all that,
Well, yeah, I suppose you could say like somebody like living next door to you playing loud music all night was causing you harm because it's not allowing you to sleep. But somebody could argue, well, it's not really harming you because there's no physical symptoms evolving. So yeah, there are definitely ways.
Because these sorts of things cause debates because everyone has their own
subjective point of view.
their own perspective on these things. That's it. But
so I keep checking out chat and stuff occasionally. There, religion stuff at the moment by the looks of it.
Yeah, it's not going too fast at the moment. It's been pretty quiet apart from that little spike quite big spike, but obviously it was quite a short period though. It was just like a positive version of the thing that happened the other day when I got all those dislikes. That was crazy. That never seen it like it. What do you think that was all about? All the dislikes, like 400 odd dislikes in a few minutes.
The only thing I can think of is maybe Itchy Bum, because he's been doing it to Dale, and so maybe he's branching out and doing it to a few other people. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it was some globehead with a bloody shitload of soccer camps.
Who knows? I mean, I'm sure someone said that the IPS brought his crew over here. I don't know. I mean, I think it was Dredd, but someone said that IPS. I don't know whether he did it out, but I mean, like I said, it was over 100 at one point. So,
I mind you, who that is in Coyes, Cayss. He's just a globehead or anti-Pete Shea.
What? So what's that then?
I assume he's saying that because you had Pete Shea on.
Pete Shea was saying that people are kind of like a vendetta against him or something.
Yeah, I think some people have. I mean, and I'm kind of starting to see why. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm still not quite there with him. I still appreciate it.
So you think that
he does tend to talk about the same stuff a lot, and he does definitely cause a bit
like
of
the way he
Chris F.E. business.
Across and stuff like that, and I mean, I can understand what people are saying.
He just won't let it go. And I met Chris F.E. literally 2 days ago.
Yeah, you were saying
in real life, so
unless of course, you're evil Edna's handler.
That could be, yeah, that's it. There you go. Maybe, maybe that's how I would do it. Yeah, that's it. That's right. We were talking about it actually, and he asked me if I could do a bit of a voice changer on, and maybe appear at the same time as him. So yeah, no, I'm joking.
Yeah, so was it YouTube saying, watch out, Jamie, you'll have TYT and AJ on your back. Lol, what's he on about?
Don't know who they are. Trying to put it together, I can't know.
So you're not too into IPS then, I take it?
No, I had a problem with him from the beginning, unfortunately, because he was so fixated on the infinite plane, and he was
because you were saying that
I like to keep people open.
You were saying that you wanted it to be one, but you couldn't kind of accept that because it was like there's no evidence for it. That's the problem. It's like you get.
I'm very much like that. I think we need to get out and actually physically explore.
Because Coyce because Coyce has this map as his avatar, and we don't even know if that's real unless we actually went out and actually. But again, with the Antarctic thing, as you were saying, it could be a distraction because people could find us not really there, and it's just a waste of time. So,
like I say, I mean, if you was on Facebook, I'd be able to show you a lovely picture. I really would. You'd have your mind blown.
Picture of what?
To see Mick in the chat. D, you must be an actor agent. Yeah, well, I was in the school plays a couple of times at primary school. You know what they say: if you can't do it, then teach. So
right.
Sorry, my attempt at humour.
Yeah. What is it? Caroline Gottman Day, whatever. I for sure think we are in the turning point. I am optimistic. Then again, I never watched the news. Haha. Well,
yeah, so I never watched the news myself.
I think some of the flat earthers might just look at it just to analyse it, I suppose.
Well, I think lots of flat earthers watch the news to keep it. It's like Sun Tzu says, or apparently said, because he might not have been a real person. Know your enemy, basically. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely a good tactic. But I can't watch the news. I mean, I couldn't watch the news when I was.
Yeah, because as they say, keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I think that's it. But I mean, maybe some people take that out of context and think, well, that means you should not care about out your friends and stuff, and just
Yeah, no.
I mean, I'm not saying that people would, but then again,
See, this is the thing. It's relative.
most people
Just because it's saying keep your enemies close, it doesn't mean keep your friends far away. It just means that if you've got your friends right next to you, then you need to keep your enemies almost inside you.
yeah, that's it. It's like if you're so close with your friends, then you need to be doing that with your enemies, because it's like you know, if you kind of sort of most turning a blind eye to them and stuff, then it's gonna open them up to even more like things, and it's like perhaps by people keeping their eye out on what their tactics are, then it could literally be changing what they're doing. Like I think it was Jaron that was saying that it's actually caused people to change things on their websites.
Yeah, no, I've seen it happen. It's like with that the Stellarium thing he was on about, where you could look into the future and stuff. I watched the video where it was looking into the future and that.
The star trails.
No, yeah, with the Polaris being a North Star, basically.
Yeah, that's it. And about the like sort of not being procession over like.
And the Stephen Hawking one as well. I remember him pointing out the fact that Stephen Hawking wasn't on that website, and then
it was on Globebusters when he was talking about that, wasn't it? I think, and and it's like it was saying, usually 5 years, 10 years at the most that they live after they've been diagnosed, and he was like 50 years. That's like, come on, it's like seriously, I'm pretty sure that it was just some puppet. It was some, I'm not going to say clone because that people then think that you're into like the clone. I mean, I got into that stuff, but it was like, it's hard to prove any of it, really, isn't it?
Oh yeah, no, I mean it's so hard. It was ridiculous. But no, you probably.
But I think with someone like Stephen Hawking, it would be easier to do it, and it would make more sense, because if you're already kind of
fucked up, then the cloning process can't fuck you up much more.
Well, not that. I'm not trying to be offensive. Right?
Yeah, sorry, man. I just tend to
easier to because there's not much that he can do, because if he can't talk very fast and he can't do out much, and it's funny because his excuse was that a dedication into science.
Yeah, science kept him alive. But this is you're probably more correct with your puppet statement. Like he was just he's probably more been not so much he's alive. He's just like his body's
could have just been
kept alive.
Well, possibly it could be like because it was already kind of synthetic when he was alive. So I mean, so who knows that he didn't just die off, and like they just kept the machine going. Sorry,
that Collins has just put a comment in again. But his chair has Duracell, lasts longer. Sorry.
Well,
I'm starting to talk a little bit about the false flag in chat again by looks of it as well. Sorry, I tend to check the chat out every few minutes.
Well, Pure Matrix is saying flat Earth don't pose for a hoax, lol. Well, maybe that's part of the problem, is that it's another distraction that's trying to keep people away from what they should be focusing on. I mean, I'm not saying that we should be focusing on flat Earth. We're not even talking about that right now, are we? We're talking about other stuff as well. So,
this is you can't just concentrate flat Earth. It's like water proves it. We've just proved it. So, what's the point in carrying on talking about it? If you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, unless like new people are going to come and actually try and have a conversation about it, and you can try not that you're trying to convert anyone, but to try and open people up to it, sort of thing. But unless that happens, there's not really much point. Keep rehashing the same stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if there's any new people in the chat that's just sitting in the background that would like to have any questions answered, I'm sure me and Jamie will do our best to answer them.
Yeah, but there's no point flat earthers keep talking about the same stuff to other flat earthers unless there's some new evidence. There's like a new observation, for instance, and it's like you're discussing whether it proves flat or whether or whether it's like, what was it, Anthony Riley? He did some observation, and then he did it from several points or something, and he said he could see the peninsula or something, and then he could, but at sea level he couldn't see it or whatever. I mean, and apparently because he was saying that he was thinking it was curved or something, and it was like, well, if it is curved, then it's a lot bigger than what they're telling us. So
well, you saw how much my video messed me up that time. So
yeah, because you were almost.
I almost went back to the globe. I did.
Yeah. It's like you almost. You were kind of swaying a bit there, weren't you? Like with the Matrix physics decode, but you know, it's like if it were the curve, then like you said,
I said, right, basically, I've been a gamer most of my life, yeah, and so I've got very good spatial awareness, you could say, and I know that if that lighthouse was that much over a curve, it would not be able to point up straight. I can see it in my head. It doesn't matter what anyone else says. This is my personal view. It would be pointed at a stupid fucking angle. It'd be like Butter Moon. Don't know if you ever remember that one, but you're probably too young actually. But Butter Moon, yeah, you used to have a little rocket on a,
I suppose if you're thinking that we're on like a tiny ball, like that's only 100 miles, then it kind of like tipping away somewhat. But if it's so big, then you could argue that it would only look very slight.
If it's that big and curved, then I should be able to see it all. Still, I shouldn't only be able to see a third of it, because if I can only see a third of it, then that must mean it must be pointed off at a stupid angle. Either that, or there is a swell caused by the water, and that's what's covering a third of it.
Yeah, that's probably more likely to be an explanation for it.
And that makes a lot more explanation, because the lighthouse is stood up straight as a fucking rock.
Yeah, and not only that, of course, and suck that concavers. Because it would be leaning because gravity then or electromagnetism, as some of them believe in, which could well be possible on the flat Earth as well. Because I don't believe that it's all down to the density and buoyancy thing. I mean, I know it's a thing, but it's
no, definitely not.
There needs to be something to explain why.
Have you looked?
There's an up and down though. That's the only problem with it.
Have you looked? I can't remember what it's actually called, but when you cool down a superconducting material to like really cool levels and then put it on top of a magnet and push it around, it floats on that magnet, and goes round.
So what are you saying?
So you got I can't remember what the force is called, or basically you get some superconductive material, I can't remember exactly what material they use, and then they super cool it, they cool it right down to like below zero, like really really fucking cold, and then you can hover it on this like circular magnet thing, and you push it and it will spin around this magnet. It won't go off the circle, it won't fall off either side, it will just spin round and round and round until it warms up enough, and then it will just slowly like come to the magnet and just land. And I'm kind of swaying towards that's maybe how the sun and moon are kept above the earth, maybe in some kind of that way more than gravity. But that again,
well, wouldn't that contradict gravity?
Well, again, yeah, it would. It would almost definitely contradict gravity,
because if it were gravity, then we should be directed towards the bigger. We should be directed towards the bigger planets. But no, because it's not in the gravitational field or whatever. Well, but all the gravitational fields would be affecting each other, and this whole space-time thing, it's just nonsense.
Yeah,
total conjecture, totally convoluted. When there's a word "con" in something, it's usually
it's a con.
yeah
Condensation.
So
I think we're being tricked about how water works and evaporation and how all that works.
Well, they say about how the sort of the water cycle. When we got taught in geography about how about the kind of the heat sort of rising up, and it gets pushed up a hill or something, and then it will kind of break as it gets up there, and then it'll fall down. It'll form clouds and it'll fall down and all that. And so what you're saying, it would make more sense on a flat plane or something. What difference would it make?
Well, I suppose it doesn't. It wouldn't really make much of a difference either way, really. But it's the very fact that again, there's more deception there.
Well, because when we go on about the water being level and stuff, it's like, I get that's a good argument and stuff. It's like, but it's because gravity's bending it around. I mean, it's like, well, if they're gonna, but they already assume gravity's a proven thing, so it's like,
well, yeah.
So it's like you have to then go and try and argue against it, but then they'll argue, well, how come there's an up and down? So it's like, well, if there's,
up and down can be explained by density and buoyancy.
But it's like, but they're like, well,
alone.
What they'll say though is what's causing the preferred direction of the way things fall down. I can understand what they mean by that.
Density and buoyancy.
But I think it was Jaron and Globebusters were saying that it could be due to static electricity, and that's what's doing it. It's a very weak force, and
it could be due to the way the toroidal field interacts with the plane we live on. Who knows?
Well, there's lots of things that we don't quite know, and I think they're trying to play on that. Like same with certain things to do with perspective and things like that seem weird. And
it's all very well.
Have no explanation.
it's all very well me and you speculating this kind of stuff, but when it comes to like a globehead questioning us about this, and that's the time we need to learn to turn around and say, I don't know, sorry. Because there's no shame in not knowing these things, and this is part of the marvel that Flat Earth reveals to you again. It like brings back the excitement of everything, because we don't know everything. There's so much more to learn.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, but it's like that if we can't answer something, it's like, oh, well, you've been debunked then. It's like, you show us a picture of the whole Earth being flat then. Well, what they're doing is shifting the burden of proof, and they'd always do that. Because the thing is, they can't even provide real evidence of their own ball. It's like they claim to have an ISS floating around up there at 17,000 miles an hour. And they can't once pan around 360 degrees and zoom in on, as someone said, that zoom in on people standing upside down in Australia. Because you should be able to do a live feed, unless then the flat earthers will still say that's CGI, advanced CGI, but that would be pretty darn.
So my concentration's a bit split at the second. I'm going to put some time lapse on some star trails on while I've still got a bit of power left, because the moon's just gone behind a tree. So I can kind of talk. I'm still concentrating, kind of. Yeah. And this is great. For the next 150 minutes, the camera will take a shot every 30 seconds, and that will create the star trail needed, and it will give me a 10-second clip. And that's if the battery lasts 3 hours. Actually, it's got to check that it's actually going to.
What do you think of brain dead septic media then?
Oh, you'd have to explain a bit more about that, because I ain't got a clue what you're talking about, bud.
I think it was what one at Globebusters called it, Jed Skeptic Media.
Oh, oh, that's a good one. So I thought that was a new channel or something, but yeah.
No, but I mean, it was actually in chat last night. I mean, it seemed polite, I mean, I think it's like when someone's a glober and they're, not for flat Earth, and that it's like they're like automatically an antagonist sort of thing to the flat earthers, and I think that needs to stop really, and kind of focus on other stuff that we can agree on, But then again, that will to us seem like a distraction if we can't focus on this stuff because someone else is seen as like a hindrance sort of thing.
It's like tonight.
So there's always two sides to it all, isn't there?
Have these truther globers on and not talk about flat Earth, talk about the other things like false flags and legalese and all this. The other things.
Depends what you want to talk about. So the funny thing is when the globers say, well, it's a psyop, then how is it if it's if it's what's but it's because it's going to discredit everything else. Well, people wouldn't have been aware of everything else if it weren't for flat Earth. A lot of them. It's just because they don't believe in it.
I'm living proof of that. Like I say, I wasn't into any conspiracy till I got into the flat Earth, and then after flat Earth, I've got into all of them. I've at least dabbled in a lot of them.
Oh, but you're a shill though, because it's like you're lying about that. We're never into any conspiracies.
All right, sorry. All right, I watched 2 Mandela effect videos before I got into the flat Earth videos, but yeah.
Well, actually, I was looking into that sort of stuff before flat Earth, and it was like, honestly, I couldn't quite, get into it. Like I said, kind of be on board with it so much, because it's like there's some that kind of threw me a little bit, but
yeah, there's always.
I guess it could be down to history, but not a lot of them were in my experience anyway. So with the Berenstein Bears and everything, and the other ones, and I won't really remember what they were exactly. It's just from what I've heard of what other people say. And some of them made a good point that the thing with the Mandela effect is that no one would have took notice otherwise if it weren't for this trend, So it's like it wouldn't have made any difference then, would it? Because they wouldn't have even paid attention to what the Volkswagen logo looked like.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah.
So some reckon that there's even been changes even since the Mandela effect, blowing up.
There's things going on all the time, and like I said, a lot of the speculation goes to like D-Wave computers and CERN. So
you reckon that it's actually real then? I'm sure you said it was fake.
Right. I think a lot of it is fake, because it's right. I think the reality hasn't been changed. The perception of reality has been changed. It was explained to me in a way that I can understand it by someone the other night. I'm afraid I'm not as articulate as him, so I probably couldn't do it. But he's an extremely intelligent guy. Like I say, he's the guy who is basically putting this model together in our group. So
you're saying you're coming up with your own model of?
Well, it's not my own model. Like I said,
you're working on it.
Yeah,
like you said.
So I'm just leaning back toward the Tesseract, because I keep seeing it in the Flower Life, and it's just, I don't know, it keeps drawing me back, and
But does it not have any drawbacks to it though?
it probably does, because again, it's not something you can ever prove, so it's complete speculation. So there's your drawback right there.
Quite a few hangouts going on right now.
Yeah, Saturday night, innit? I think it's starting to kick off a bit now.
You'd be exposed. Me, obviously. Pete Shea doing his own thing. Hangnail, I say ODD keeps his thing going on, and Brainwash, whatever that channel's called, is doing their own 24/7 thing. Brian Verville, FPV Angel, does his 24/7 thing. Dave, Flat Truth. Yeah, there's loads of stuff going on at the moment. You know, like you said, Saturday nights is quite busy, isn't it? I think Sunday nights tend to be kind of, well, everyone floods it in Globebusters. The only thing I find a bit suspicious is how come the chats don't go immensely fast on there compared to some of the other chats.
Yeah.
If they're getting, what was it, nearly 1,500 watching the other week or something, then like how can they be like, well, I didn't see it last week, but how can they be getting all these and not? Then again, there's some people with like 3,000 viewers and their chat's going very slow.
Yeah. Sorry, I just want to respond to Germanicus Keith. He's just asking me about the model and stuff. I like I said, the model is in my head, mate. I'm not technically minded enough to put this stuff on computer, unfortunately. If I could use computer programs like that, I'd try and bash one out maybe. But like I say, you've got to draw the Flower Life yourself, start from scratch. Even if you do it on a computer, start from scratch, draw it yourself.
What did you say about bash one out?
Yes. Oh God, I bash one out on a computer. Oh, I can't believe I just said that.
Sounds crazy.
But no, I am in a member of a group, Keith, that there's a guy who's a lot smarter than me. Smarter than me. He's a lot more technically minded than me, and he is putting together a simulation on the computer. So yeah, I don't think he needs any help at the moment. We're just getting readings and stuff for him of the sun, the moon, Venus, Polaris.
You're not really on board with simulation theory, are you?
No, because it's so similar to the 4D that there's almost not much difference at all. So I can
do you believe in holographic stuff then?
Not so much. 'Cause, to me, the holographic again leads very similarly to the 4D and fractals and.
Well, yeah, the thing with the simulation thing, it's like maybe it's the word that's wrong, because when you say simulation, what's a simulation of? You know, it's like
a simulation to me makes me think we're inside a computer program.
Well, it would make you think that if we're in a simulation, then there's some organic reality outside of it.
Oh yeah, again and again, who created them? Like, it's the same question you have with God: who created the people who created the computer program, and why did they do it?
Yeah, no, it's the same with the universe.
If it's the simulation, and it's exactly like I said, it's just the same.
Same with the universe thing, right? Well, what came before the Big Bang? What caused the Big Bang? And what's the Big Bang? After the Big Bang, what did it expand into? And
yeah,
it seems like all these things maybe to throw you off what the real truth is.
What came before, and this is where you need to get into the finitely infinite kind of thinking.
So what do you
there's
mean?
A start point, but after that start point, it becomes infinite. So yes, it can go back in on itself, but you never really know where that start point is. So it's
how can that be possible?
It's so hard to explain because you start losing words for what.
So you mean like it's in the horizon that it's like infinitely far yet not? It's like infinitely close at the same time. It's like because it looks close enough to where you can touch it, but it's like you try and get to it, it's never going to be there because it keeps going further away. Kind of like it'd say, like a dog chasing its own tail.
yeah. Again, and this is the thing. I mean, infinite again. It is just a concept, and I'm not trying to push infinity. It's just it does seem to come up a lot lately, and a lot
of people, infinite plane society. I see, and that subtle infinity.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I really would love that infinite plane to be true.
But then again, at the same time, why would we need to be on an infinite plane? I was thinking that we have everything we need here, so I suppose does it really need? I don't know, but I suppose then it's like, well, if it's not infinite, then it can't. Then you get to a point where you won't be able to have any more people on it. It would eventually get overpopulated. populated. So that's the only problem, is that you can only have so much of anything if it's not infinite, and people are going to be fighting that for, you know, that could be why that the controllers, it's like if it were infinite, then there'd be no reason for them to be fighting over the resources and stuff.
Yeah,
you know,
there's no
so I don't
reason
know.
to keep us in, because then if there's infinite land, then there's no reason for us to worry.
Yeah,
about
because
this.
they could have access to infinite everything. Then
Yeah, they could just. All right. Or then again, there you go. All right, maybe this could be why that all these kids are disappearing. It's not because they're all getting taken away and used in paedophile rings. Maybe they're getting taken away by the elite to other lands to get populated in other lands, so that they can become slaves for people.
well, there's a theory that isn't there, but
Sorry,
you don't
that
believe
just
that
popped
there
into my
is.
head then. I'm not.
You don't believe that there is other lands, though, do you?
I believe there is more land. I don't believe there are
So
more
where do you think
lands
this
there.
more? Because you're saying it could be in the center, though. You're saying, or whatever people think of as the center, like.
I suppose there could be hollow earth or whatever, but no. Like I said, I'd love to show you the picture, because basically, right, you've got us in the middle, yeah, like that. And then to the north there's more, and to the south there's more. And
But what you were saying that on this looping concept, it's like it's looping in all directions. Well, I think you were saying there's a barrier at the. Wouldn't it have to loop in all directions, though? I don't know.
Right, the loop, it loops east and west.
Yeah.
But the north south loop is the 5D, and that's what I don't understand. So that's why I try to avoid it.
But are you working towards that, though?
I'm hoping to.
But you have to get to the 5D first, and then you can. But it's like until you get to that point, you have to just ignore it, because it's like not in your realms of understanding.
I mean, well, you've heard me trying to explain 4D, yeah.
Yeah, and even that's out there for some people, isn't it?
So yeah, so you can imagine me trying to even think about 5D. It's like, but yeah, basically, it's not. You can't really think of Pac-Man map. You got to think more.
Well, that's just a projection of it.
The center of the map. It's like with Pac-Man, you can go from one side and go out the other and come back.
That's just the projection of it, isn't it?
That doesn't happen on this 4D map. You are always at the center of that map. So if you
that's how I was
Pac-Man,
able to
always see Pac-Man at the center of the screen. Wherever you went, he would always be at the center of the screen.
Yeah, that's how I was able to visualize it, because you're free. Is it free energy that was?
Yes, for free energy. Free energy. It's energy.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. He's the inspiration for what a lot of the work that we're doing in the group. We'd love to get him on a hangout, but he's kind of backed off for a minute. I mean, we had Sergeant on last night for a couple of hours, so we're getting a lot of good people in. Yeah,
Darren Nesbitt, he believes in that.
Yeah, we've had him on. We've had him on. I mean, I've got the opportunity while I'm on, actually. I mean, there's going to be it's looking very much like it's going to be either March or April next year in Birmingham. There's going to be a UK conference, and we hope we're going to.
Yeah, I've heard about that. That's still a long way off, though, isn't it? That's like saying, in a few years or something. It's like, it sounds like a long way off, but then it
sounds like a long way off. Come up nice and fast, I can tell you that.
I hope I can attend this thing.
There's a lady in Hawaii who's maybe going to organise one in Hawaii as well. So I don't know if anybody wants to check her channel out, but she's a flat earth chick.
Get Globers to attend and actually to observe across the ocean to the other islands and say, look, this shouldn't be possible on a globe. Yeah. Because if you got some real examples, then it's like they can't deny it, and it's like.
Well, that's what I mean. We're getting some good speakers apparently. Like I say, I mean, I won't say anyone's definitely confirmed yet, because I'm not the one organising this. Again, it's just somebody else in my group that I'm lucky enough to have information from.
What do you think about these other characters that come up with their own maps? Like,
good on them. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with it.
What is it? The Awake Souls and all these people, and it's like there's this drama going on, and it's like.
Right, there's nothing wrong with coming up with your own map. It's just if you're going to get into a drama to defend it, then maybe
it proves that it's not really that solid. If it was completely provable, then there was nothing to argue against.
It's like the old Asimov alert, yeah? I mean, that has been debunked. We all know now that cannot happen, because yes, a lot of the flights do work on that, but a lot of them don't.
Well, I started to think maybe the real map might be a mixture of all the maps. Like maybe it's like there may be some points to it. Maybe there is some points to the score map as well. And but the way that the Awake Souls one, it's kind kind of does like a wavy type thing, and obviously the way that it's like simulated, it's like kind of it just bounces back to the other side, and that kind of, for a lot of people, it's not going to make any sense, is it? So
Jamie, I just looked at chat again. I just noticed Jed's in the chat, guy you were speaking about earlier.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. So
well, yeah, I know you weren't going to have a long one tonight, so if you want to kick me out, mate,
actually, going on a bit longer. It's just I didn't know how it was going to turn out, so well.
Yeah, like I said, it would have been nice to get Mick on, I think, wouldn't it? Get into a bit more of the duality stuff and.
Well, I don't know if he wants to come on or not. He's in chat at the moment, but I mean, he's not asked to come on. But yeah, that is still what.
Well, maybe you should let Jed on, eh? But then again, if you let Jed on, then you'll be slated for letting him on. So can't really win.
Kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, sort of thing. I had him on, I think once. It was a while ago, because I think it was literally like the first person I had on, and he said he's bit about why he thinks it's that there's like frauds and stuff that they're just trying to make a cult out of it, and it kind of maybe if you observe it, maybe it seems like that, but maybe it's just intentionally done like that to kind of seem like that, so it puts off the newcomers.
Yeah.
Because when the big channels are getting full of drama, then it's like going to make people put off. We got obviously this flat Earth society. It's like why would there be such ridiculous thing out there? If we're that it's clear that anyone who thinks they're legit is just seriously like they can't be serious.
Yeah, it was the people that were asking you to take them seriously that you need to watch out for. This is what I mean. This is why I always try and let you know, like this is just what I'm thinking, or this is just what the group's thinking, and stuff like that. I don't want to try and push things on people. I just want to put across my ideas without trying to force it down people's throats. So I mean, to be fair, I'm surprised people listen to me at all. This is what I mean. I can't believe I got like over 100.
The thing is, it's just blow my mind. Like, because the way that we observe it is that there's controlled opposition out there to infiltrate and to kind of. So I think a lot of the drama is kind of fabricated.
Yeah, but well, you think about it. You've just spent 20 seconds describing that, then, yeah.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, just us talking about.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It's taken away from us talking about something else.
Someone else. So what do you want to talk about then?
Oh no, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just pointing out the fact that that's what it does. It does cause this distraction, even if it's just small little bits here, small little bits
so it's like a domino effect
and stuff like that. But I'm quite happy to talk about that, and this is what I mean. I will talk about anything. I really will. I'm quite happy to speculate, philosophize, whatever. I will talk about the facts I know, the whatever. I mean, it's almost impossible to offend me, kind of thing. I mean, and I'm all right. Yeah, sometimes I get a bit passionate about some things, but I never mean to offend others either, if you know what I mean. It's just sometimes we're human. We all get carried away.
Well, if the wind is strong enough, like a hurricane, then we would get carried away. So according to the ball earthers, the spinning ball earthers, that is, they believe that when there's winds going against the earth spin, it's actually not that it's actually going backwards. It's actually just that the atmosphere is moving slightly slower than the rotation speed. Yeah. So when you think about that, does it really make any sense? Because you think that if it's constantly moving and there's this like perpetual motion around it, so what's causing it, that kind of like resistance then? I mean, if there's 1,000 mile an hour, at the equator, and then there's a wind that goes 70 miles an hour against it, then it's like
that can't. I mean, this is the thing.
Because if they're going to say that that the reason why planes are kind of not having to dip their noses down or that they're not going faster in one direction than the other is because that you're glued to the atmosphere. But you can't have that and have wind moving in opposite directions. You just can't have those two things. This is the thing. I mean, either the atmosphere's stuck, and obviously the atmosphere is absolutely fucking massive relative to us. So the atmosphere at the top is moving at the same speed at the atmosphere at the bottom if it's Velcroed, because that's the way it had to have to be. And that doesn't happen because you can look up at the sky on some days and you can see clouds going in different directions. So that's like. I mean, I'm waiting. It's because what will they say? What will their back? What will their what will their scapegoat be? I wish I knew, actually. That, to be honest, that is something I don't know. I don't know. Because you've got to think, well, what would they come up with? Because you have to be a step ahead of them, don't you? We have to be 2 steps ahead. I mean, it's like, so it's like when you go on about, well, how come bodies of water are, flat and level, and then they're like gravity, then you have to disprove gravity. So it's like you have to be
Sorry.
2 steps ahead, really.
Yeah, just thought I'd plug Persian Scribe's book. He sent me a signed copy. So thank you very much, Persian Scribe. I know I don't think you're watching now because usually in the chat if you do, but he's sent me a nice signed copy. So my first flat Earth book, The Lost Adventures of Captain Vanetti.
So what, is it a fiction book or something?
Well, I haven't read it yet. Yeah. It looks like a bit of a fiction book. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's available on Lulu, and I'm sure if you get in contact with Persian Scribe, then get a signed copy.
Looks pretty nice, but as they say, don't judge a book by its cover.
I mean, it's a good way of almost like kind of donating and getting something back for it, if you know what I mean. So, because he's obviously put a lot of work into this, and to get published, I mean, a flat Earth book published, I mean, that's an effort in itself. So kudos to the bloke.
Well, apparently there's an anti-flat Earth thing or something. I don't know. I think it was like an ebook or something that someone put out. Someone on Twitter, is it? Someone called Gordon Brooks or something. If this isn't flat, it's like, why would you even need to do that? It's like, why are you like, trying to like do NASA? I mean, not NASA. I mean, do like the scientists who work for them. It's like pretty embarrassing, that, isn't it? That you need to actually disprove that, and when Bill and I can't even do it, when it's like fallacious arguments like, well, if the Earth were flat, then how come you can't see
Europe,
New Orleans from halfway up the Mississippi and Missouri or whatever? It's like I can't believe that guy, the flat Earth asshole actually got that many dislikes on it. It's like, he completely crushed him.
Completely, yeah.
When he was doing the skit at the end, if you remember that.
Yeah, no, I did. I think I watched that a couple of times, like when it first came out. So
yeah, it's quite entertaining.
So I just really enjoy it. I really enjoyed.
Because even if it is a globe, it's not really kind of helping to kind of persuade people. It's like, I suppose maybe it is to some, but it's almost like you think, well, they want this out there. It's like, come on, they would come up with better arguments than that, surely.
Yeah, but this is the thing. I mean, if they could disprove flat Earth, we wouldn't be flat Earthers.
Yeah, that's it. Because no one would have.
He's putting some stuff in the chat as well about atmospheric pressure and stuff like that, and that still doesn't explain how the wind moves in different directions. That just explains atmospheric pressure. I don't know if he was trying to explain to us.
I think it was Joe from Question Everything was saying that if you got two planes flying in opposite directions, and they're close to each other, like
that was a Brian Mullen point.
Then, I think that there would be a huge amount of resistance because of one going completely against the spin and the one going with it. Because it's like that's just weird to even try to think about that, isn't it? That one's going like pushing against the particles. That it's like there's resist. I mean, you'd think that if the atmosphere is that strong, then it's like you can't have it both ways, sort of thing. It's like
well, you're not just trying to catch up with the spin of the globe, you're trying to fight the spin of the atmosphere as
but
well.
It's like because the thing is, if you catch it up with it because the atmosphere is moving as well, then that wouldn't work when you was the other way, because it's like then. Sorry,
I'll take it with Dominicus keeps the troll because he's accusing us of being saying we're density experts now. I don't think either of us claim to be experts. In fact, we both said we're not sure, and we don't think buoyancy and density explain everything. So
yeah, I think that's like maybe a straw man. That is it when people kind of think, oh well, it's like they leave it at that. They don't sort of say, well, we're not quite sure and we have an idea of what it could be.
He's not addressed our issue. He's put a completely different issue in the chat, and now he's saying we're experts.
Well, it tends to be a tactic that these people use. Is what they'll do is when you make a point. I've noticed this. When someone makes a point then about the curvature, that it quickly goes into storage rails, to two celestial poles, and all these nonsense that doesn't really prove one way or the other. It's just, I noticed that they try and keep you stuck in these, and when you're thinking, hang on, why are these people not just moving away from all that crap and just actually focusing on the friggin' Earth? It's like, what's that all got to do with it? You know, even if there was something pulling us down like a force, it's like, does it prove that we're on a sphere?
Yeah, so sorry, mate. I was reading the chat again. Then sorry, I got carried away. This is why I don't read the chat and talk at the same time. It kind of proves my point. What I was just about to Keith as well. Like, sorry if I'm not checking the chat as it's going, bud, and I'm a bit behind. But unfortunately, that happens when you're trying to give your attention to the person you're speaking to and be polite.
Yeah. Well, we'll just say about how they'll quickly they'll move the points onto something else instead of focusing on the curvature, because they know that, well, they probably know that they can't argue it against it, because it's like, when people have got all these observations, 100 miles, 150 miles, 200 miles, and even further than that, then it's like they've done the refraction to death, and it's like they can't even be bothered to probably even go on about it's like, because it's like they know they cannot prove it, and it's like, so they have to kind of bring in red herrings that it's just, to me, there's tactics that they're using, whether they're paid, whether they're just, it's some confirmation bias or whatever, and they're trying to, because maybe subconsciously they know that we have a point. It's like, even if it is a spinning sphere, and why would they need to be around there? It's like, they should be content with what they know and just move on, just forget about us and just get on with their lives. I know some of them probably just don't hang around too much, but a lot of them are doing it hours and hours every day.
Yeah, see, I'm not too, like I say, I don't always get involved in the chat big time, so I know a lot of these characters, but I'm starting to
a lot of them
now, but yeah,
been around for quite a while, so it's
right. So he's basically saying here it's mass acting as a fluid, which we've always said. Yeah, the atmosphere is a fluid. So but he's saying you're saying we was asking why it moves with the rotation of the Earth. Well, he's just explained why it moves with the rotation of the Earth, so he's now saying that basically, so he's chosen the Velcro route, basically, which again, how does the wind blow against that atmosphere that's getting pulled around by the spin of the Earth then? So again, I still think I asked a valid question, to even if I did ask it.
Well, the thing is, when the flat earthers will say stuff about how railguns 100 miles, they're like, oh, it's because of parabolic arc, it's like. But, the burden of proof's on them to actually prove that, and because it's like our senses would never tell us it's a globe. They have to bring in these abstract claims, space-time, and, what else? Dark matter.
Dark energy.
Big Bang, black holes.
Honestly, right.
Great attractor.
Well, this is the thing. See, when I was a globehead, like I say, not too long ago, the kind of amazing theories that science was coming out with, I'd go into work and I'd talk to people about, honestly, I'd get stranger looks talking about the stuff that science was theorizing about than I did when I started talking about flat Earth. And
so I didn't because I thought, so what stuff were you theorizing about then?
Well, back with the globe stuff, you've got, again, kind of the basis of the holographic universe, where everything is a projection.
Well, I thought flat Earth
from the surface of a black hole.
Ridicule,
basically.
Than that.
So I'd talk about things like this at work,
because when people talk about simulations and other stuff, 4D, it's like that doesn't get ridiculed that much compared to flat Earth, does it really?
Well, no, it doesn't. But again, what they don't realise is this talk is kind of pointing towards flat Earth in a way. Because
I suppose it's all linked in, the electric universe, all that stuff. But it's like the globalists will try to use it, fit their narrative, and because there was someone, I think it might have been on, was it Dred's chat or something, who believed in an electric universe but still believed in a spinning globe. So he didn't believe in the Big Bang, but it's just they just fake it because of the money and stuff. It's like, well, it's not about the money; they print the money. So it's about having power over us, isn't it?
Well, yeah. We can take that power back. If anybody wants to do a bit of research, I'm not quite there yet, but you can basically write your own bloody money and pay all your debts off. So
yeah, you're right. You're not old there, are you?
Yeah, I'm certainly not old there, man. Fucking hell.
Yeah, in your old age, you're definitely not old there. Well, you actually look at, like I said, you look 10 years older with that at the cafe. And
Yeah,
no offense
yeah,
to
I've
that,
shaved all my head off now as well, and I got really badly sunburnt. I don't know if you'll
what
be
you
able to
say, you
see, but I'm
shaved, you
blistered and
shaved
everything.
what you say, you shaved all your head off. That must have hurt.
Shaved all my hair off, yeah, sorry. Kept the
Shaved all
beard,
your
but
head off.
my daughter wouldn't let me get rid of the beard. And as
Yeah,
you can see, it's getting a bit grey and shit now. So yeah, it's all good. I don't give a
I
shit.
wonder if
I don't
there's
do
a
this for
way
other
to
people. I do this for me.
yeah, there's a way to bring the colour back to your hair that they're trying to hide or something. Well, that wouldn't be important though, would it? But
Oh no, that's 20 years of marriage. That is, mate. Yeah, I don't think that's reversible. I think what is it? Just for men. That's about the best I can do.
just for men and the
But yeah, no, like I say, it's not too bad at the moment. Like I say, I mean, it certainly seems to have done all right at the moment. Fucking dating life's
so
fucking off.
have you improved your diet anymore since then?
No, if anything, I've slipped back a little bit. I'm drinking fucking Ribena at the moment, mate.
Well, so what would you say that on a like scale of 1 to 10? How bad do you think? I mean, is it like for your health? Do you think Ribena is?
Well, it's got almost as much sugar in as Coca-Cola, so it can't be that healthy.
Yeah, because people think, oh, it's Ribena. It's like, I mean, you think, oh, it's got fruit in it.
Yeah, no. I just fancied a bit of a treat. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, not a pack of apples there, so it's not as if I'm being completely unhealthy.
Well, yeah, well, the apples didn't earn you the Ribena.
No, I mean, this is the thing, though. You've got to take it's moderation, isn't it? I mean, it's not as if I'm going to be on the Ribena all the time. I'm just treating myself. Well, I've got a bottle of Ribena. I just fancied a bit of a sweet drink because the water was starting to
Like,
just get a bit bland.
I do all sorts of junk food. I just need to kind
I
of
mean,
stop
actually,
it.
to be fair, I've even had a Krabby's tonight, and I don't drink alcohol. I mean, I can't even remember. Well, it's probably Christmas the last time I had a drink, so I've had one can, and I am a bit not like drunk, but I'm certainly I can feel it. That's just alcoholic ginger beer again, so it's nothing major.
What Krabby's? What is that similar to prawn cocktail?
Oh, oh, mate, you have got a way of words. You really fucking have. Oh, sorry, I'm getting. It looks like I'm being addressed in chat again, so I've just looked over. Well,
Another way of looking at it, prawn. Another way of looking at it, prawn cocked ale. Prawn cooked ale.
Yeah, seed of life, flower of life, tree of life.
Yeah, if you tasted that and you think something seems fishy about that.
Oh God. Oh mate, honestly, if I had your humour, I'd be an even bigger hit with the ladies at the moment. I'll tell you.
Well, I suppose if you drunk it, maybe maybe you'd actually grow and instead of staying as a little shrimp.
Yeah, no, Keith, I will check out that website you're plugging, mate.
Oh, yeah, was it this crab or something that can apparently live indefinitely or something?
Oh, alligators, they have no mechanism for dying of old age. Basically, they die of starvation in the end if they don't get killed off because they just can't get enough food to sustain the size they can reach.
So, apparently because we have like entropy, because apparently we have things called telomeres in the DNA or something, and it's like they get shorter every so often.
It breaks off every so often, and then it just. Sorry, go on.
I've heard it gets like smaller every time, but it's like people are saying that they have ways of slowing it down or even kind of
adding back to it.
So I'm not sure if that's true, but because there might be charlatans,
Yeah, there's certainly evidence for it. And like I say, there's a jellyfish called the immortal jellyfish as well.
Yeah, I've heard about that. Apparently, it turns back to a polyp every so often.
To its is it embryo state or an earlier stage in its life when it was healthy.
Could that be possible with humans though?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's just it would take genetic manipulation, though, I imagine, and I don't think a lot of people would be up for that.
Maybe that could be a way of actually, achieving that afterlife in this realm.
Well, to be fair, I mean, all right, I say you might. Oh no. I mean, you're kind of right there. To be fair, I mean, because what is living forever, but an extension of a life that you wouldn't have had normally. So, I mean, it is an afterlife if you like to think of it that way. But I say it would have to be genetic manipulation to do it. I'm probably wrong there thinking of it because I mean, again,
but it's like we don't know. It's like because the thing is, we're still even if anyone eats organic, there's still stuff that they do eat that's slightly inorganic, and it's like all that's adding up. It's like
Oh yeah.
if they don't stop doing it, then it could lose off their life and stuff. And it's
what I
like,
mean. They say we
and they also don't know
in the Bible, for example, they say we have a
stuff that they're
potential of
not.
living almost 1,000 years or something in the Bible.
Yeah,
some of these characters
but that was it was interesting that it was pre-flood. So what?
Yeah,
that was more.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, a lot of theories going around say the reset. There was a reset, and we're in a new era now, and this is why things are so much different, and all this kind of stuff. So, I mean, I don't know, but I've kind of forgotten my point now.
Well, who knows what's going to happen? Maybe someone's saying that maybe the frequency's changing or something. And
frequencies. That's what I wanted to get to. Yeah, frequency. Yeah. That's another thing that I think could maybe be the key to changing our cells without genetic manipulation. Sorry, boom. Thank you.
Yeah, because if we all work together to maybe that's what it takes. Because if somebody needs a new limb, you could sacrifice one of yours and do that. I mean, but maybe there's certain things where there's ways to kind of manipulate you say manipulation, but maybe it wouldn't require surgery or like that, or any kind of intrusive kind of procedure.
Yeah, it's fast healing. I mean, there's been documented cases of people healing faster at some points in their cycle of their life than others and stuff. And they say it's because it's degradation of the DNA. I can't remember the word you said, but I'm very useless at pronouncing those words. And it's because of that, the bit that breaks off, and that's why you later on in your life, your skin's not as elastic and you don't heal as fast. Your skin tears easier and all that kind of stuff.
So you're saying that there's evidence to kind of support there being a way to extend that?
Well, there's certainly evidence to support you can extend it, yeah. But again, I mean, the evidence and the science would be all pointing towards genetic manipulation as being needed to do it. But it could. I mean, this is what we need now. We need to be almost fast forwarding a bit of time so we can see how all these vegans and stuff are doing in 50 years, 100 years and stuff, and see if they did live that long, if they did live healthier lives and all this kind of stuff. And this is what I mean. So the truth we're trying to get to now, we don't know for certain that all these healthy lifestyles are any good for us.
Yeah, because that could also be lies about because they can just rewrite history, can't they? And just
this is what I mean. And then I'm not being funny. Since I gave up meat, I've been a not chronic asthmatic, but I've had pretty bad asthma my whole life since primary school, at least. And I gave up meat just after Christmas, and within a few weeks, maybe a month of giving up meat, my asthma had cleared up. I mean, I've tried a bit of urine therapy as well. I've tried a bit of MMS. I've tried other things.
I thought you said you weren't bothering with that yet.
Well, until I was getting my diet, I kind of, like I said, I didn't go full on. I couldn't drink the stuff. This is what I mean. I'd put a drop on my tongue and stuff,
different practices.
I practiced up for it, and that's what I mean. There's no way I could gulp it. There's no way. So like I said, I dabbled in bits. So it could have been any one of these things that's done it. But I've not got asthma anymore, as far as I know. I've not used my inhaler for a while.
Yeah, so you won't go cold turkey with it. Well, that depends what you've been eating. If it's turkey, then it would be cold turkey.
Yeah, I mean, it could just be I gave up Coca-Cola because that's all I drank for about 20 years was just Coca-Cola. So
but it's these things can be used to discredit it, and these tech part in these things. And it's not all of them, of course.
Yeah, see, I got a bit carried away and I did dabble in a lot. But I would definitely caution on anything. And if you do try these things, try them one at a time for sure. Because if you don't, you're never going to know what it is that helped you, and whether it could all be that I just placebo affected it. This is the thing, you just never know.
That might be what's happening with the quasi-luminous stuff, the blood over intent. It could be a placebo effect.
Yeah.
So self-fulfilling prophecy.
Well, don't get me wrong, blood's powerful stuff, so there could be something in it. I mean, and if I was going to do blood over intent, which I've been tempted to do, I certainly wouldn't do it for quasi. I'd do it for the intent of bringing heaven to earth, and I certainly wouldn't be doing it for quasi. But
well, in a way, you would be, because if you bring in heaven on earth, then he would be benefiting out of that.
Yeah, but
it would be for everyone equally, wouldn't it? Is that what you mean?
This is what I mean. Yeah, it would help. If you're truly bringing in a heaven on earth, then it's an equal thing. There's going to be no leader on this in this heaven of earth, if you know what I mean, or the Most High, maybe, or whatever you want to call the creators, whatever. Like I say again, I don't know whether it's true or not, but I certainly believe that there's certainly some power in the intent and the blood together, and the writing, the symbolism, the spell, if you want to call it. So I mean, but I'm not there ready to do it yet, no. And I don't think I ever will be. therapy, but if I ever do, then the intent will be for heaven on earth for everyone, not just.
Well, you'll just keep procrastinating. I don't want to do it right now. Yeah, I'll leave it for a bit. And you're
Or
like,
maybe
no, I don't
I'll
want to.
wait to injure myself and cut myself or something and do it
Well,
then.
well, I mean, there's Jay Dreamers. I don't know if you ever seen his channel, and he was going on about the his opinions on it, and he
Oh,
well,
sorry,
he
just
did.
Billy's there, man. Hello, Billy. Sorry.
Yeah, and he went too into it, but he was saying, well, people should just do their own research. If they want to do it, then they need to actually research it. And
Yeah.
I can understand his point of view on it, and I can understand people's. It's just if people are just doing it blindly, then I have a problem with that.
Yeah, see, I like I say, I'm guilty of rushing into it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I did what I thought was a lot of research, and I probably was. I mean, I spent at least fucking tens of hours researching like MMS and urine. Well, I'd say it wasn't so much to look in with urine therapy because I did just look at Dave Murphy's Book of Human Anatomy or something. I can't remember exactly what it's called, and I thought I'd just.
What do you think about?
I thought the worst it would do is if I felt a bit sick with the urine therapy kind of thing, I'd just stop. If you know
What do you think about the breatharianism?
Inconclusive, I've got to say, because when he's been doing it, if you listen to him, he always says like, "Oh, somebody convinced me to have something here, and somebody convinced me to eat something there." So he never really did a.
So it's like he's never actually
done
done a full experiment, yeah.
But again,
But
I
it's
wouldn't
but I
rule
think it would
out.
be kind of testimony that you wouldn't need to be eat anywhere near as much as what people are eating.
Oh, I know you don't. Even before I like had my awakening, I only ever ate one meal a day because I never felt hungry other than that, and I worked really hard. I mean, I worked 7 days a week, quite a physical job. So I mean, and I just didn't really need a lot of food. I'd just eat a big meal at the end of the day and have a little bit.
Well, you'd think you'd need loads if you're working loads, and actually, because you'd think you'd burn yourself and you need to eat.
I eat more now that I've stopped working than when I was working because now I'm bored, so I need something for my hands to do. So I find like I reach.
Oh, so that's what it is. It's like that's what it is more.
I'm not putting on any weight, so I'm obviously eating the right stuff.
Also, if your mind's only on like thinking when you're so you just ignore it. It's like because sometimes when people stomach rumbles, they think that they need to get something to eat, but actually you don't. It's just
no, and fasting is very important. It's very, very important to go without food.
Well, a lot of religions practice it and stuff, so it's like but it's just I think people need to be responsible about what they're doing and not just going straight into it. If they've never done it before, then they should try and do it in steps, really. Do whatever the body's telling them to do.
This is it, and it's just like with MMS. Yeah, it's a very controversial one, and I would never push it on anyone. I would suggest they look at it. I would never. I mean, suggest they look at it. But again, that's something you've got to drop into slowly. You can't just pick up MMS and start on your protocols. You've got to take like 3 weeks to build up to it, so you can get your system used to it. But I did just over a month on MMS, and I had absolutely no adverse effects whatsoever. And like I say, that could very well be the thing that killed my asthma. I don't know, because I was doing the urine therapy almost in conjunction with that. So, and I wasn't doing full on urine therapy. Like I said, I'd just put a couple of drops under my tongue, just enough so I could get something in my finger. And if I cut myself, I'd like put a bit on there and I was washing my feet with it because I had a bit of athlete's foot, and obviously that's all cleared up now. But again, this is fair. I don't expect anyone to believe me because I've not documented any of this, if you know what I mean. So I mean, this is what
I saw this
but don't
some videos right of people age in the urine and actually doing like some different experiments of seeing how acid or alkaline it is, and then mixing it, and then and then apparently one of them it was like there was this mushroom growing in it or something. It was like, and there was like cream at the bottom or something. It's like that's some pretty ripe stuff that were.
Yeah, no.
And it was really dark and like almost black. It were like.
Yeah, no, I never got full on into it, and like I say, I mean, what I say,
the videos and found it interesting,
If I get ill again, I'll definitely go back to the urine therapy. But to be fair, I've not been ill in almost since my asthma disappeared, so I don't know. It's like I used to get real bad hay fever. I used to be allergic to cats, dogs. Basically every day I'd have to take antihistamines.
I've been getting a bit of hay fever, I think, but
yeah, well, there you go. Stick a couple of drops of your pee first thing in the morning and under your tongue, mate. No, look into it first before you try anything like that. But to be fair, like I say, it's your own pee. It's not going to kill you.
Well, the thing is, like, the crazy thing with people, it's like I saw someone in a chat once. It's like they were recommending what was it? I don't know, like sort of they were recommending milk or something, but then in the same breath in the chat, they were like saying not to do the urine therapy thing. It's like, it's like, how is milk any better? It's like milk is actually from another animal. It's like, and it's not even meant for us. I mean, I still.
It's going to try milk.
I still
get a wet nurse, like if you know what I mean.
Eat things with like milk in it and stuff, and drink things with milk in it. But it's like I need to just, obviously I keep saying it, but it's got to happen eventually. It's just I'm a bit worried of it because there's people, like naysayers saying that the whole veganism thing is just some NWO depopulation agenda.
Well, this is what I mean. I mean, right? It wouldn't hurt anybody to go onto a vegan diet for 1 month and just.
Well, true, yeah, because if people found out that it was actually,
then you've got your own evidence, you've got your own perspective on the element. But I can almost guarantee that anybody.
Because there's people who recommend the total opposite diet, where you'll eat nothing but raw meat.
We'll try that for a month as well. This is what I mean. Try this.
That sounds disgusting.
I'm not saying. I'm not trying to tell you to try it. I'm just saying, don't poo these things until you've tried them. Basically.
Yeah, that's it. But it's like.
And done it for yourself. I wouldn't want to do a raw meat one purely because I can deal with the fact that I just can't deal with the animals being killed anymore. Not the way it's done.
Yeah, that's it. There's a lot of flat earthers that have got into this. Some haven't gone full blown, but some have definitely changed up their diets and are more conscious of it. It's like,
well, this is the thing, and you shouldn't preach it because all right, I've gone vegetarian. I've not quite gone vegan yet, but I wouldn't. It's like my daughter. I cook my daughter meat when she stays around my house because she eats meat. I'm not trying to force my lifestyle on anyone. I hope one day she will stop eating meat, but I don't think that's ever going to happen. She loves her sweet. She loves her crap junk food. Unfortunately, I've kind of brought her up like that, so I can't just suddenly turn around and make her stop because I've decided to.
There's someone in chat, Grautyman80 is saying, "Do you truly believe the Earth is flat?" Well, I experience it as flat, so why would I not? If you're gonna believe it's a globe, then you have to bring in things that we can't measure or test. It's like just abstract theories, but with flat Earth, it's all pretty much tangible and
Well, yeah, no, and this is what I mean. Sorry, I've just seen Mick put in the chat. Why would the body expel urine if it was supposed to hold on to it? And to be honest, there was an explanation for that.
I think what it is the
anatomy thing by Dave Murphy. But
for what I've looked is that it's an excess, not waste. It's because you drink it and then it filters through it.
It's basically we're getting too much into us, I think, maybe, and that's why we pee. Because I notice that if I have days where I don't eat a lot, but I still keep up my fluid level, I don't pee a lot. But if I'm eating a lot as well, I pee more.
Yeah, because
maybe we're just eating too much. I don't know. I'm not offering an explanation. I'm offering a suggestion of an explanation.
Did you say pee more? Yeah, well, maybe that's it. Maybe we're supposed to, because there might be some truth to the breath there and thing, but it might not be 100%. But you just got to look at what are the most abundant things that are in nature.
The air around us.
What's in that air around us? It's got fluid in it, doesn't it? It's got
nitrogen, oxygen, and
it's got energy in it. It's got the prana energy, whatever. And some do reckon that you can live off that alone, but then somewhat be like, well, you wouldn't poo anything out. Well, if you're getting a lot of stuff into you, then yeah, you would do, because if you're being able to absorb it enough into your body, then it would. But it would obviously be a lot less solid, I suppose. I don't know, because these things do bring up questions of, well, why is there food to eat then if we didn't need it? I suppose we should be trying to do whatever's the easiest, the most accessible.
Yeah, for me,
look at the plants, for instance. They live off of, and I think we should be looking at what the nature does naturally, and not kind of listen to what the elite do, because what the elite tell us to do, what other people tell you to do.
Now, all the stars, all the famous people, all the conventions everywhere, what do you see on the table that you used to never see? Bottles of water.
Right.
They all drink water now in bottles. Yeah. None of them drink Coke. None of them drink juice. None of them drink tea. None of them drink coffee.
So you're saying that it's because they know that it's healthier?
They know what's going in all the shit now. they've been switched onto it.
So you reckon that? But I thought they were all kind of in on it anyway. A lot of these celebrities and stuff.
Yeah, but they're not promoting water. They're all advertising in the adverts for Coke and Pepsi and all the junk food.
So what's that all about?
See them drinking without showing off. It's not like they hold up these bottles of water and go.
It's just that they're still
lovely.
trapped in the system of materialism and stuff because the material is their.
Sorry, Mick's just brought up a good point in chat there. Urine's for plants and not for us. That's a good point. Maybe when I start getting my own garden together and plants and stuff, I start peeing all over my plants and eating plants. Then I get the urine effect that way. That may be a good point there, Mick. Cheers, man. And I'm not taking the piss there either.
When a woman's on a cycle.
Oh, you missed that there, Jamie. I even got a little clip in
when
there.
a woman's on a cycle and she does her business on that, then would that make it an eggplant?
Oh. Sorry, mate. I'm old school. I'm not into talking about periods.
Not even periodically.
Oh, God.
Right, period. Anyway, let's go. Yeah, it's just a running joke, isn't it? This a running. I didn't even.
No, you didn't even realise you did it, look.
Yeah, a running. Yeah.
Oh God, you got another troll there, Grouty Man, by the looks of it.
Well, it's with that guy I was on about, the one that was.
Oh, was he the one that was asking to come in? Was he?
Yeah, well, like I said, I'm going to be shutting it down soon. So
yeah.
Not that I'm scared to have him on it. It's like I'm going to duck out because I don't. But it's like, but honestly, though, even so, I mean, I can't really be bothered with these people because it's like you probably know what they're going to come up with. But I think as Del says, it's good to kind of sharpen your swords, isn't it? Because like if they might be able to kind of give you food for thought. Because if because if they do debunk one of your supposed evidences, then it's like you filter out all the crap and then you could just focus on what is actually proof.
Exactly.
Because when people talk about, I don't know if any examples of stuff that could be not proof of a flat Earth that they try to kind of
I did write down
use to prove it.
Day, actually, because I was going to do a video on it. Because I was getting
with the left to right curvature and stuff like that.
I don't know using star trails.
Well, that's the spherical Earth.
Spirit levels on an aeroplane. That D. Marvel's experiment, although it's very good, it's perfectly explainable on the globe model as well because
because if you assume there's gravity, then it would
because the change in the height and nose dip would be relative and blah 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 blah.
Because what he was trying to do is to prove it weren't dipping its nose down, but we all know it doesn't dip its nose down, so it kind of were a bit pointless, and it was.
Well, no, it's not. It's not that.
Kind of even if ridicule it somewhat.
No, even if it did on a globe, even if it was dipping its nose down, it would be doing it at such a rate that the spirit level wouldn't pick up on it.
Do you reckon?
Like I say, you've got, like I say, in the globe model, you've got to take relativity into account.
Yeah, that's true. So it's like we just got to kind of siphon out all the stuff that's kind of not really kind of making us look very good because it's like because they got quite a lot of hate for that, and because it's like they just ridiculed it because they were thinking, it doesn't prove flat Earth.
Yeah, no, like I say, don't ridicule it. It was a good idea, but unfortunately, it still works on the globe model, so you'd get the same result on both.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah.
Again, it's a good experiment.
But we know it's impossible to live on a globe. But even if it were, you would still get the same results.
Yeah. But another one that I've got here is the pear-shaped Earth. Where everybody jumps on the old pear-shaped.
When they're like, it because
the trouble was that clip was taken out of context. People never listen to the rest of the interview when he actually goes on to say, well, it's not really like pear. If you were to hold it in your hand, if you were that big, it would feel like a sphere, and it's just ever so slightly like chubbier at the bottom and like at the center and stuff, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, because it's like even like an image, you look at it, it's like the
sun behind clouds.
Perfect,
That's another one that needs to be chucked out. That's a trick of the camera of the P900, unfortunately, because I
thought you were saying you were on board with the sun being really low.
Oh yeah, I am with it being really low, but unfortunately, in the past week or two, I've come across new evidence that shows that if you put the right filters in front of the P900, that it does show the clouds that we thought were behind the sun are actually in front of the sun. So
well, Billy Sunday seems pretty convinced that. Well, I think you're saying that it's a projection or something that we're getting.
Yeah,
because it's like the problem is that if you believe even the high altitude balloon footage, the sun's still getting it's still a bit higher up. So it's like even from 20 odd miles. So it's got to be at least, I'd say, I don't know, 30 to 40 miles up. I'd say probably more than that, to be honest, because I don't know exactly, but I mean, it does usually look pretty close to the horizon on the.
Again, it's as high as your perception will allow you to see it. Because again, if you go along with the model I'm looking at, the 4D one, then you're looking at you have a perceptional bubble. Yeah, that is your perceptional bubble. It is your reality. You are always at the center of your map, and so you will only see the sun and moon at as far as your bubble extends.
Yeah.
So,
but it's like it could be like on the, because it might, one thing that might explain certain anomalies is if because of the 4D aspects in it, maybe the sky isn't sort of corresponding with the ground sort of thing. So it's like if you move a mile, the sun does something else sort of thing. It's like it's not that you're getting closer to it. You might be kind of not really, because
Well, the perfect experiment for this is go to the beach at sunset. Yeah, when the sun's starting to go down, and you get that line that comes to your feet. Yeah, go down there with somebody else, like, and get them to stand like 50 foot down the beach, and ask them if they have a line of the sun pointing towards them, and they will, because you always see the line of the sun pointing towards you, and that in it alone proves that you are in your own reality. You're in your own perceptional bubble.
Well, I'm on board with that, because I think everyone has their own subjective perspective, because it's like even if you was to move a mile somewhere else, you'd see different clouds and stuff that you weren't able to see before and stuff, because it's like that's as far as your eyes are able to see in that area.
Exactly. Well, rainbows as well. Even if you were to stand right next to somebody, you still wouldn't see the same rainbow that they're seeing, because you're in a slightly different position. So you're seeing a slightly different position of whatever it is that rainbow is being projected.
Is rainbows another straw man argument? What do you think about rainbows?
I think rainbows are what we see of the 4D circle.
Because people think they're like a proof of a dome.
Then how do you get them in your garden when you spray a hose in the air?
So what you're saying?
Well,
people think,
when rain causes a rainbow, in the sky, it's very big, and that could very well make it look like we have a dome. But then why do we see rainbows when we spray a garden hose in the sun or at the bottom of a waterfall and stuff like that?
So what do you think is causing the rainbow then?
I think it's what we see of the 4D circle. Like I say, again, you got to go into the flower life, and the flower life is a 2D representation of a 4D circle, basically.
Possibly,
in which you have the tesseract, and that's what I mean, and that's where you come into squaring the circle, and this is where it all starts blurring and getting very complicated and hard to think about.
Yeah. So I'm going to be finishing up in a minute, because I wasn't even intending. I was maybe if it just depends, because I wasn't expecting a flood of people coming in, before that was crazy.
I think that got your adrenaline pumping a bit there, didn't it?
Yeah. The same kind of happened the other week when the 400 odd dislikes, but I see a lot more positive. But I think when people get to a certain level, they should, try and do it for other people as well. If there's a small one that's getting 5 people watching or something, especially, then go and help them out. Even if you just get people to go over for a few minutes and subscribe, and it's just, like you said, it's an extension of the shout out, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you're on live with lots of listeners. I mean, it's good with what Joel's doing with and what I'm doing with like the shouting out. But obviously, you might be able to get a few subscribing, but
I
think it's better if you've got more subscribers, though. That's the thing.
Yeah, I did a little one for Chris FE when I first came across him as well, and I thought, like I say, you and Joe gave me my first shout out, so I thought I'd extend it and pass it on.
Shouted that out, paper explanator, then.
Yep, the old Eva Wedner. Is it Eva Wedner? Sorry, I'm not familiar with all this business.
Psyopticon or whatever.
Yes. But no, like I said, what I missed his live hangout with Doomweaver last night, but I did watch it recorded today. So he was talking about neural dust. Don't know if you caught that hangout, but it's well worth watching. Again, it's not flat Earth stuff; it's technology stuff, but well worth listening to.
Yeah. So, what do you think about technology? Because I know a lot of the, not a lot of, some flat earthers seem to be kind of not for technology so much.
I'm starting to lean towards maybe being a Luddite, if you know what I mean. But
what's that like.
I bet we give up on technology completely. I think, unless I'm using the wrong terminology.
So what makes you say that then?
Well, I think the technology's been corrupted, and we should be
Yeah, I think
back to more of a
what
pure energy source, like the free energies and stuff.
more of the organic
around.
technologies and stuff.
Yeah.
As opposed to this more synthetic stuff that's been kind of pumped out there.
Yeah, we need to get more back to nature. It's like hemp. Hemp can replace oil. It can replace plastic. It can. It can pretty much whatever petrol can do.
Power cars. Water apparently can power cars.
Yeah, you just have to add a bit more hydrogen to it. That's all.
Yeah.
So it actually you can literally if you can add more hydrogen to water, you can put it in an existing engine and it will combust.
Needs an atmosphere though to combust, doesn't it? I like these because it's like because if you're arguing with like a diehard globe believer, that'll be like, but the because like when you're saying about that the rocket's propelling off nothing sort of thing, and it's like, well, it's because the fuel leaving the rocket is what's causing it to push off.
The fuel that's just come out the back of the rocket, and that's pushing off the fuel that's just coming out the back of the rocket.
But the problem is, how did it combust in the first? It's like even if they can argue, because they couldn't have gotten back from the moon if they
according to the heliocentric model, you can't have fire in a vacuum, but you can have obviously the sun works in a vacuum. There's no fire on the sun, in the heliocentric model.
Yeah.
So there can, in a way, be combustion of a sort, but you would need an extreme amount of energy to get that combustion going.
Yeah, they were saying that you need that much energy.
You'd have no flame.
You need that much energy that, it's something about that. There was something about the oxygen that you need that much that you wouldn't have enough left for the crew or something. So it's like, it'd be one of those things, wouldn't it? Even if it were possible, then it's like, suppose one of those catch-22 things, isn't it?
Yeah, 22.
22, yeah, it's like numerology, called it into it. May 22nd.
Sorry, I'm not into it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do know, appreciate there's definitely something behind all this, but unfortunately, I can't keep all
the
figures in my head. I'd love to get more into the Masonic symbologies and stuff, but unfortunately, that kind of stuff just doesn't stick in my head. Like I say, I mean, I've had a drink tonight. I'm pretty stoned, so I've probably made a complete fumble of what I'm supposed to be saying tonight anyway. So,
what were you going to say tonight then?
Well, no, just talk about the stuff I have been talking about. I've probably been using the wrong words here and there and explaining poorly, but
no,
you kick me off, mate. Now, and I'll
you can.
I'll jump off and let you say goodbye.
Well, thanks for coming on again. It's good being chatting again. And you're welcome to come on again anytime, But actually, if you want to, kind of have a break or something, then.
Sometimes I'm busy, so I'll just sit there in the chat and chat along. But whenever I can, I'll jump on, man. And I appreciate everyone in the panel as well, listening in and putting their 2 cents worth in. So, I'll catch you next time, Jamie, bud. Thank you very much.
Yeah, peace. All right. Thanks for all of you coming on. I'm going to be finishing up now. I'm going to be probably on again. It'll be Monday now, I think, next time. So hopefully I'll chat to you again soon. So thanks for watching, and I'm going to shut down now. So till next time, peace.